Hello world! Welcome to Decode or Not to Code. I'm Mele Eva and I'm super happy to be here today. As always, I'm here with Stefan. How are you doing, Stefan?
I am doing perfectly. How are you?
I'm great. So currently there's a massive thunderstorm going on from where we're streaming. So it's sure to be an electrifying episode. And you can also be sure that I will blame any and all technical issues on the storm for the entire episode. So you can look forward to that. If you're new to this show, you can go ahead and ask one of our regulars about what it's about. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure, our regulars are happy to share their wisdoms with you and us today, as always. But yeah, for those of you who are new to the show, we are two friends who like to code. And Stefan has a lot more experience than me, so he's kind of teaching me as we go. And I'm asking loads of silly questions, which is also testing his knowledge. So there's a little bit of symbiosis going on. That's kind of what we're up to. And we're currently building a .NET tool, which will help you manage your using directives in your project. So with our tool, you can count how many times you're using a specific using directive in your project. And if you so desire, our tool can make a global using out of that local using, which is cluttering the beginning of each of your files. So yeah, if you're interested in how we built it, feel free to go on our YouTube channel and check out our previous videos because we've spent quite a lot of time on it actually, and we're almost ready for our first release. So I'm super, super excited about that. And I'd also like to invite you to give us a follow on X if you're interested in our content and what's coming up and what we're up to. And also if you'd just like to reach out and give, your suggestions, your questions, your recommendations for new upcoming episodes, or whatever you feel like. Really, we always really love to connect, and so we really would love to hear from you. But yeah, so before we get into the code, into the nitty-gritty of the episode, let's have a look at what's new in the tech world, techie news that we found for you today. What have we got?
Well, it was yesterday. So just yesterday, the first RC of .NET 8 has been released. That's the release candidate, which means there is no more new features coming in to the current stream in the .NET 8 lifecycle, but just bug fixes. So since yesterday, we know exactly what we will get. And in this last release, compared to the previous releases, the last editions have been about JSON serialization and finalizing AOT ahead of time compilation for the .NET 8 release. This will be an ongoing endeavor for upcoming .NET versions 9, 10, 11. But this is now the first, more features for AOT ahead of time compilation. And with every .NET release, Stephen Tobe, also one of the developers on the .NET team, is releasing a blog post. I'm pausing a little here because I guess that's an understatement. I guess this is the size of my cursor here. I think this is the scroll bar. I think it's as small as it gets. This is I'm not, and I even thought that this is all mentioning all of the performance improvements in .NET 8, but just most of them, or the most significant, the most exciting, where you can also write a lot and understand the internals of the language and the .NET runtime and so on. I just saw bounce checking. This is when you access arrays, the runtime does bounce checking so that you don't reach farther than the length of the array, so that you don't reach into memory that you don't actually own, or could be some random memory that you don't expect and then get unexpected results, but it actually throws an out-of-bounds exception. And I guess they also do performance optimizations around that. And I guess it will take me some time to read through this, but it is very interesting and gives a lot of insight about how .NET really works and where some, not pitfalls, but in the functionalities of .NET and to the understanding of how this thing works. but it is a lot.
It is a lot, isn't it? It's quite intimidating. Yeah.
Also,
I would love to see, like, if you printed it out, like, if it would be a book. Like, if you could sort of bind it into a book.
Control P. Does it preview
How many pages?
total pages?
0. Nice. Okay.
Well,
that worked well.
Let's see how long the preview, I guess.
I blame it on the thunderstorm. There you go.
Yes.
Whoa, yes. 218 pages.
I think it's still loading. I'm not certain about the
time progress. To take a day off and read Stephen's post. I think yes, that you would need a full like working day at least. Like if you're a fast reader and if you already know what sort of about a little bit about the inner workings, because I would probably have to Google every second word. So I would take the week off.
Would this work? Can I go to my employer and say, hey, Stephen Tope released a blog post? Yeah, sure, here, have a day, maybe 2.
Yeah, they'll already know about it. They'll be like, okay, take the rest of the month. Like, it's fine.
This time of the year again.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing. But yeah, I suppose some workplaces do have like those sort of self-study, not days, I think, but like maybe hours, something
personal,
like that.
I actually do have some personal development plan time. But yeah, this will be eating up a month from that time, I suppose. So better get starting tomorrow, I guess. On Friday.
Yeah.
218 pages. Yeah, that's solid.
That's solid. Yeah. I hope he gets paid for that, right? If he's one of the developers, or is this just like?
Yes, yeah. But by now I think this is also a labor of love, putting so much thought into this
totally
blog post.
He would 100% get away with like writing 50 pages and that's it. But he goes all the way.
I can imagine, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's great. I'll also give it a try. Let's see how far I get.
You mentioned you needed to Google a lot. I as well. I also have to search like a lot of stuff. But it really, for me, it really helps to connect some bits and pieces. Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, we also have Thunder here. I guess we already get thunderous applause.
Yeah. I couldn't hear it though, but I can, like I can hear my own thunder up here, so it kind of matches it a little bit. Cool. Are there any more news? Are we good to sort of jump into where we left off last time?
I guess it's time to
code. I mean, not that I don't love the news section as well. I think it's really interesting, but this is my favorite part of it.
That we found.
Of course, this week. Always so much going on and plenty of news, but we like to give you guys a couple of nuggets of stuff that we found interesting and that sort of we chatted about before the show.
Cool. So last time we have built more integration testing.
Yes.
And because in our first integration testing session 2 streams ago, it actually helped us to find a bug, and we doubled down on it a little bit now. And what we also did, I'm afraid that was off stream, basically adding one integration test. So previously, all of our integration tests were focused around the SDK style projects, which look like, where is that? Which look something like this. So you have project, SDK, and then have some properties. But the classic .NET Framework projects, they're more lengthy, more explicit. There is less implicit stuff going on. And you also have to add files via these compile items explicitly. And actually, let's remove the bug fix that we did off stream and run the tests to see what we fixed. So we had this is .NET Framework project. Yep, just removing that call and running our tests. We see that the global, so for the counter, it doesn't matter, but the counter, our using counter doesn't manipulate the project, but the globalizer does. So the SDK style project is fine, but the .NET Framework version of the project is not. And
yeah, I saw that too. It's quite scary.
And well, there's a lot of seconds in between, so it's far away, I guess.
True.
But what we are missing, I hit a funder now, so that's like what was that? 10 seconds. So that's what's the speed of sound?
I hear it now.
300. 300 is 3 seconds 1 kilometer. I haven't.
I can. I don't know. I have
need
no
to go
clue.
back to school. Anyway, digressing. So we are now in the .NET in the SDK style project where we actually have to explicitly state all these documents that are in that project. Otherwise, they wouldn't be picked up in SDK style projects. That's happening implicitly. That every .cs file in a CS project and a C# project, or every .vb file in a Visual Basic project is automatically included in the compilation. But in .NET Framework projects, that's not happening. So we have to explicitly state it. But we basically introduced a fix because the MS Build workspace that we're using is always manipulating our workspace, our CS project, because we do not want to add this file if it is a .NET Framework project, .SDK style project. Actually, to show this, let's invert the fix. Oops, I just removed the exclamation point here. So I'm basically checking if it is a .NET Framework project or an SDK style project, but then inverting that answer, so getting the wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
And what we will see momentarily is that for the SDK style project, we wrongly add an item group to compile that global using. The problem is this is invalid because implicitly this has already been added. So we now have this thing twice in our CS project, and I think this even causes problems. And so we don't want this for SDK style projects, but we do want it for .NET Framework projects, because now for .NET Framework projects, we need that, but now it's missing if we don't do that. And this is basically what our fix is doing to determine, hey, is this a SDK style project or a .NET Framework project? And because the MS Build workspace that we are using, where we then apply the changes, is basically always assuming it's a .NET Framework project and doesn't know about the things of the SDK style project, that those compile item does not need to be included or shouldn't even be included. So we have our manual code where if there have been changes to our project, so if we have actually added a new document, the global using document, and if it is not a .NET Framework project, that means it's an SDK style project, only then we overwrite the generated project again to come back to the old state that we previously had. And yeah, with that in place, now our globalizer works correctly for both .NET Framework projects, but also SDK style projects.
Nice.
And I think it was last time we talked about changing a little bit our API of our tool. Well, no, that's not an API, but the command line,
yeah,
interface. Let's run -help on our tool. Now, together with system.command line, we get a nice help output. And let's get the help of our count tool using count. And we say, okay, using count, and then the name of the project. Currently, we need to explicitly state our project. Later on, we want to find if we find a project in the current working directory, but if we don't find it, then the user needs to state it.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But for the globalizer, it looks like this. So we say using globalize, then we give a using and then a project path. And this is kind of weird because they are, because they are both arguments. But they're not really of the same category. The first, so we have positional arguments where the first one is a using, the second, the using that we want to globalize, the second one is a project. And if we later want to add the possibility of adding multiple usings, so basically make this plural, and so we could have multiple usings, then how do we insert them? Well, I guess then we would need to move the project here.
Yeah.
But what if we want to find the project in the original, in the current working directory? Then I think the experience gets a little weird. So
yeah,
I would like to redesign this a little bit.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, you've already mentioned a couple of really good points. I think definitely, I think the default way of using it should be with the project, that you don't explicitly have to name a project, that we sort of scratch that entirely. I do think we need to obviously keep it in case the project argument, I suppose. We need it because if we're not currently if we don't have a default one to use, we need to explicitly state it. And as you said, I think it would be a good idea that if we want to state it before the usings, because I mean, chances are that you have more than one using that you'd like to globalize, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to, well, we have three options. We could either change both of them to options. So we could have something like -- using system and -- project path to project.csproj. And then we could actually say, okay, we would allow multiple usings. So then we could say -- using system.collection as well. So we could have both as options. Actually, let's do white space here so we can, what is that, K? Yes.
I really like it when you have the whiteboard. It gives me a nice light for the camera.
Then what it is. So we could say, I now use just a shortcut, so system.system and -- system.using system.collection and -p path to project.csproj. Alternatively, we could make, and then the other two options is keeping one as an argument and one as an option. So we could make the usings as arguments. So we have system or system and system.collections. And then pass as an option -p the path. Or the other way around, that we have the path as an argument. So we say path, and then as an option -u or -- using system. And alternatively, if we later want to have two, we can say path and -- using system and -- using system.collections and so on. So those are the three options. All options, or make one an option or the other.
I'm not quite 100% certain what the difference between an option and what is the other thing?
Argument.
Argument is.
So yes, so arguments are positional and without. So you don't have any prefix here for the arguments, but they are kind of ordered. I mean, this is the thing that we experience currently, because we first say the directive, we first have the using, and then we have the path. So this is positional. If we would do it the other way around, if we would first pass the path and then the using, our program would fail, because the using, we assume the using is the path, and the path is the using. So the position is relevant. It's positional. For using for options, it doesn't really matter. Well, I guess in the command line parsing, this tool still understands which one came first, but from a user experience perspective, it shouldn't matter. So if we pass dash using system, if we would swap the order around and would pass have using system collections before dash using system, it shouldn't have any impact on the output of the project, of the run.
Yeah.
So options are not positional, but you have to explicitly state them. And I guess options may also yield the side effect of being optional. So I guess it would be weird if you were forced to pass an option. That sounds weird.
Okay, but so the positional thing for especially the usings that we would like to globalize, it doesn't make sense to have them like have them in a specific order, right?
It doesn't, yes.
But
that doesn't necessarily
But that's what you're
mean
saying, that we would then force somebody, because the globalizer doesn't really work unless you give him a using that he can globalize, right?
Could our globalizer do something meaningful without telling which global using we want to globalize? Well, we could assume that if we say, well, pass our tool name using globalize, without passing anything else, well, this would mean we search the project in the current working directory, which we haven't implemented yet, but will. And then we could assume, okay, not declaring any using. Does this mean every using?
Yeah, it does.
So that everything is globalized. Would this make sense?
No, because then you'd also like globalize stuff that you'd only have like in one file. And it doesn't matter if you have like 3 files in your project, but if you have like 30, that would be really annoying to, well, you just have to sort of, restore it, because that would be that. I don't think that would be great.
So
I don't think it will break anything like massively in like, project, but I don't think anyone would want to do that. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I'm uncertain. So you would prefer to force the user to explicitly declare the usings that they want to. Actually,
I mean,
how would
are there any? Have you ever had a project where every single using was a global using?
No.
Why not? Because it's silly, or because they didn't have a globalizer?
Actually, now that you asked the question, actually would connect to what you said. If a using is only in one file, I guess I tend to globalize the usings that are very prevalent to that. Is prevalent the correct word? Very likely to occur in that project, such as the XUnit namespaces or fluent assertion or some namespace, some testing related namespace that we have, and we are in a testing project. I guess in our Roslyn projects, it would actually be, we haven't done that yet, but I guess this would then, if we dog food our tool, this could be the Microsoft.code analysis namespaces could be the ones that we globalize, because it's quite likely that we have these in pretty much in our CLI tool, have them pretty much everywhere. Let's see, Microsoft.code analysis. Here's our library, I guess, in the library as well. Here we have our using counter, Microsoft Code Analysis. Okay, this one doesn't, but that's a bit of an helper type. bit of a helper type. Microsoft Code Analysis. Okay, so we have a lot of Microsoft Code Analysis. I guess since our core tool is very Roslyn heavy, it would make sense there. But would it make sense to globalize all of them? Like,
I don't think so.
Let's see. Do we have some system text, for example, or system diagnostics? We have like in one file. Would you want to have that globalized if we have it in one single file?
I mean, in my limited experience with global usings in general, I would only ever use a global. I don't know actually. I was gonna say I would only ever use a global using if it's like in every single file and it's used by most files. And if it's not, then I would just not globalize it. But I'm not entirely sure why. It's just probably how I kind of got introduced to them, as in sort of like, oh, if you have them a lot, you can also do this. But I don't know if that's just, just something.
Well, this actually now gives me the idea. So if we using globalize, so we have our using counter, but we have our globalize, and that we could have an option. We could have, if we want to do the all thing, like just all of them, we could have a dash all or dash a option. And for the ones that exist in every file, well, either this could be our default behavior. If we don't specify a using, this could be our default behavior. Only these which are in every document, or in our case, file, because we are file-based. Or we could have an option for that. All that are in every file. Or we could have some threshold, dash threshold, where we say 80 and or 0.8, and everything that is every file that occurs at least in 80%, every using that occurs at least in 80% of the usings, then in the files, every using that occurs at least in 80% of the documents then gets globalized.
I love that. Like, especially, even like maybe have an option where it's like, oh, if it occurs more than 5 times, then globalize it. Or like, percent or like specific
like an absolute
times.
Minimum min occurrences 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
so cool.
So we have already many more options that we could implement.
And still no answer to our question. Very great episode. I blame it on the storm though. It's classic stormy behavior.
Okay, so I'll add the options here again. So we have either /path to project.cspurge. So we wanted to do this. We could just do as an option, and the usings as options, and then could have multiple of these. Let's use a shortcut here. -u. Or we have these positional. Well, that actually, I think it would work. We could then, if we do it as arguments, we could also, I think technically this would work, that we could technically write something like this, to have basically have here an argument, and here again something put the position is, because we do not state an option here beforehand, so it's part of the argument. I guess this would actually parse and work. So this is something to consider if we would like to have that for the argument syntax. Alternatively, we have the project as argument, and then the usings as -u. So it could be something like -u. Let's have some other using XUnit or something. So it could look like this then. To put a little bit to the extreme, but maybe it highlights some preference. What I'm now thinking about, what if we, I think my preference now is having the, basically this option, having the name, the using names that we want to globalize as arguments.
Yep.
But I'm not sure if this is, I'll reduce this here to get some space. If this is what, putting to the extreme, what if we basically, well, let's assume we are in a current working directory as well. We don't need to declare the project. What if we want to do like the threshold thing combined with min occurrence as well? I guess combining this wouldn't really make sense. I guess
No,
then we
it
could
wouldn't
throw
make
an
sense.
error. This is exclusive. But would it make sense to have a threshold and explicitly stating a using? So with force system and everything else, well, I guess this makes sense to combine. Alternatively, if we have it via the dash using syntax as an option, would one of these really look weird?
But okay. So the last thing that globalizes everything that occurs in more than 80% of the files, and also every single occurrence of, well, and it also globalizes the using system.
Regardless of its occurrences, yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I would assume, or now I have in my head when
I like that.
Seeing that.
And so what would, with the second option, so from the video that you originally stated, so what would it look like if I'm already using the current like workspace that I'm in, and I would want to globalize two different usings?
Then without the threshold thing?
Yeah, just two usings.
Well, then it would be either, yeah, as arguments or as using. So I guess this would be the arguments thing that I currently prefer, but I'm not so, it's not strong yet. Or via the options where we then have to dash using before that.
I like
semicolon here.
I mean, I like the first way. I quite like that. That's pretty straightforward. I think even people like me would remember, which is saying something. And we and we don't have this issue that we are forcing options, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if we say that leaving it empty would be meaningless, yeah. So if we want to disallow, I guess if we want to disallow that call using globalize, and then would need to be forced to write an option. So if this is like the minimum we could do with an option, I guess this would look weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it's not so optional anymore.
Nope. I quite like that. And then
cool.
And we can add the path should we need it, and we can add also the threshold thingies or the all or whatever we like from the top, what we sort of brainstormed. I like that. Are you happy with it?
I am. Almost.
Any objections from the audience?
Oh, yes.
No.
How does this go? Speak up now,
or forever hold your peace.
Or later in the GitHub issue, I guess.
or messages on social media be like,
yes. Ooh,
I disagree. This is not what I want. And we will change it. Knowing us, we'll probably do it. So,
oh, yes. Yeah. Now let's play this out. So if we say, okay, so we have system and system.collections. So this could look something like this. Well, currently we only support one, but later on we would have multiple. But how do we call the project? So do we do, it's a path to a project. So perhaps that project / path to project.csproj. Or do we call it you said path earlier, because later on, what we also would like to support is solutions, that we could also specify a solution and then it works for every project in that solution. Because this is similar because .NET Build, if we don't explicitly give the location to a project or solution, it will implicitly search in the current working directory if there is exclusively a project, if there's exclusively one project or one solution, and if it finds project or solution, it does that, and the build then in a solution builds all the projects. So we also have an issue in our backlog to support solutions as well. But if, I guess, giving a project and then having a solution is weird, I guess another extreme would be if we called it solution. But what would happen if we pass both the project and the solution option? Then what takes precedence? Again, would be weird. Or we could throw an error only state one. Or do we say
both?
Or do we just
both?
call it? Can we use both? Yes. But which one do we take now? What if they are? Which one do we? So do we do both?
You can globalize multiple
projects, yes, and multiple solutions, yes. But then we would need to. Actually, yes. But it could be. Well, it could be that this project is already included in this solution. Perhaps a question. Well, first, the hi.
Hi.
Hello, Manuel. Thanks for joining. Would we be able to count a specific using as well? Ooh. Yes, I guess that's a great idea for a feature. Okay,
but we are not currently, right?
No. We have count, and it doesn't support any. Well, we currently have the path to project as the argument that we need to set, but we want to move away from that, and so that we can later on implicitly have it, but we can't pass anything which usings that we want to count. But this could be another feature. But I guess this should be the same as we have here. Then if we now we would assume if we don't specify anything, we would assume to count all the usings. Okay, now it gets spacey. We assume to count all usings. But if we want to specifically count specific usings, we could then specifically state them, system and system.collections.generic. Or alternatively, via the option syntax -u. But now with that, it would mean that not specifying anything would mean all. So I guess, yeah. But then the globalize should have the same behavior, shouldn't it? Where we then, if we don't specify anything, just have globalize, it should have the same behavior, shouldn't it? Otherwise, I would I would think it's weird if its behavior changes.
Oh, we can leave it for like if you don't, we can leave it for the first kind of release as maybe something where if you just put using globalize, it globalizes all, and then when we get all the all the hate, we get all the people saying my entire project is now a global using. What did you do? And we can change it as a response to the community, right?
Yes.
What do you think?
Or we say, okay, this is just not allowed.
Or maybe we make like a new trend of code that has all usings globalized.
There is something
changing the world. What?
Maybe, but what I'm not thinking about is if you can I do that? Let's move to the command. Let's open a new command line window. cd into that. Let's go to the source. So we have, for example, a git ignore file. .NET New has a template for git ignore. If I would create .NET New git ignore, it now says, hey, yes, you can do that, but something exists. It exists already. Do you really want to override it? And then you can use the force option, which basically every CL a friend of mine and me are sometimes joking, if a CLI tool doesn't have the force flag, it's not a CLI tool. So this will be now a bit of a use case for a force options. If I now say -- force, it will actually override what existed already. And I guess we can see that now, that indeed our git ignore now has been changed. What we could do in our case is, okay, we do allow the all option, but this would throw, but it would work if we set the force flag, basically overriding all suggestions and good practices and just, okay, yes, I know what to do it. What do you think about that?
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Do you just mention best practices? So is it best practices to have like local usings if you're just using it in one file and global usings if you're using it in multiple? Is there any best practices that we can lean on that we
I'm
can?
not sure if there really are best practices yet, because global usings are rather young, C#10, so that's 2 years old in a language that's now 21 years old. So that's rather young. Not sure if there's really best practices yet. What tooling such as XUnit actually, so is it included in XUnit? I think that XUnit now also comes with basically ships with a global using. If you install the NuGet package, you automatically become the XUnit as a global using. I think, not entirely sure. So it seems that if you from a package, it could ship with the one using that you want to use if you want to need that package. Well, no, that's bad, because what if I need that package only at one file? Okay, this doesn't really make sense. Then I have the using. I don't know. But having XUnit or NUnit or MS test, I'm not trying to make up my mind. In a certain test project, you will use it all over the place, because in a test project, you have a lot of test files where you use the fact attributes from XUnit. So I guess these are very prevalent. I now need to look up the word because I'm not sure if I'm using it correctly. Prevalent. Yes, I do.
Nice.
So it's very prevalent using. So we don't want to say using XUnit in a test project all over the place.
Yeah.
So if it's very, I think what you said, if it appears in most of the files, then yes, I guess this is. I'm not sure if this is really the best practice yet, but I think that's sensible. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
Would it also be an option to have an option on count that returns a table with count per using? I'm not sure what you mean.
I think it's kind of what we've already have. So if you're using our counter, right, you get back a list of all the usings and then also the number of times that you're using that using in your project, if that makes sense. Is that it? What?
Yeah, let's use our tool on ourselves. So using count. Let's use it on.
Can you remove the comment because I can't actually see?
Tool dot. Okay, I'm not sure about the file structure right now. Let's do some. This is in tool now. So we want to go pick per one and pick per one. Oops. Oi. And go into libraries. And let's use the core because that has the most logic. And get the CS purge from here. And this should now count all of the usings that we have in that project. And
nice.
It's thinking. Yes. Okay, cool.
Woo!
I guess we still need to do. Okay, I guess we still need to do some ordering to group by either sort by occurrences or sort by name. But this could be another option to our tool.
I know this. Oh,
but we are still not answering questions, but throwing new
but yeah, finding more questions.
Dash order by, I don't know, occurrences like count, or order by name. Hallelujah.
Yeah. I still remember when we came up with the idea of doing this on the stream, and I think one of the we did like pros and contra, and one of the pros was that it's a very straightforward tool and very simple. And like the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, this how did I ever believe that this was like a simple tool? But yeah, there you go. You live and you learn.
I think that David warned us more about the Wassling part. It's never that easy. So this expands now. Which one would the audience prefer when we go with basically no, actually, hold on. Have we said? I think we settled. Have we settled on the one already? I'm not okay. Which question?
I think the two of us
I'm totally derailed now.
Okay, so the question is,
because we were doodling here.
Yeah, and I think what Manuel said, which is quite a good, actually a very good point, is that we should sort of not just look at the globalizer, but also look at the counter and see what behavior we have here, and then compare it. Yeah, to be sort of to unify that a little bit, because and so I think we've already settled that we don't want to have the project explicitly all the time, only if it's ambiguous in one way or another. And I think we've already established that we do want to have kind of an option using globalize, which then globalizes all. And I sort of think the question that we have here is that do we want to have this failsafe where it does ask you, do you really want to do that? Because it's a little bit silly. Or if we just, say, this is our behavior and it's in the hands of our users. I am for this failsafe because I know I'm going to use the tool and use it incorrectly.
New issue, globalize all when forced. And you saw the devil says hi.
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.
And we also want to feature count explicit usings.
Yeah.
And okay, those are the two new features. But so I guess back to the thing. So I guess if we would use that, I think it would still work with expanding the feature on the usings as well. So then we could have the same syntax. Then we count, and then it's inclusive. Once we start with that, it's inclusive, and same with the globalizer. If we don't set anything, it's every file, but per default we don't allow that. We need to force that behavior.
Okay, and then we have this thing with options and
I guess
what is it called again?
Arguments.
Arguments.
So we have arguments and options. Those are the ones with the dash.
Yes,
or
correct.
Just a single dash. And we could.
And I think you and I were pretty much on the same page as where we want to have the usings that we want to globalize as arguments. Okay. And everything else is options. And everything else is, what is everything else? The project path, the solution path.
Do we? Yes. Oh, yes. that was our discussion. So what if we state
Oh yeah, what if we
if
mix
we
and
if we have
match?
project and a solution, yes. And like, do we want to do that? Because what technically could happen if we pass a solution and a project, well, if we allow that, then we should actually also allow passing multiples. So I guess putting it a bit to the extreme, we should be able to allow passing multiple projects. So putting to project 1 and we pass project 2, and potentially also multiple solutions, solution 1 and solution 2, wherever they are. But what could be is that those projects, oh, that's of course CS projects, are already included in the solution. And well, then we either do some logic to detect that, or we ignore it, because once one has been globalized already, it would find then nothing again. Well, we would go again through the project, we wouldn't find anything to globalize. But I guess an optimization would be to ignore it. But is this, for example, this is something that .NET Build does not allow, because in .NET Build or .NET Restore or .NET Test, we cannot pass multiple projects or multiple solutions. We can only if we want to pass multiple projects, we put them into a solution. So would this be a useful use case if we pass multiple projects, or should then just be the command be invoked multiple times with different projects?
That's a very good point.
That I'm not,
There's something to be said about, I mean, because we also at the moment, I mean, obviously, like in the future, we want to have like the globalizing, we want to be able to use a globalizer with more than one using. Currently, we can only do one. Would it then make sense to also be like, okay, for the future, this is a good improvement, but for now, we can only ever handle one project or one solution at the time?
That sounds fair. We can add this as an issue and then discuss this basically. Yeah, I like that. Discuss this. And if the need arises, if this is a use case, then we can allow multiple projects/solutions. Yeah, we can do that later. And okay, so now for having one project that we currently still have to one solution. Well, currently we have one project that we still have to explicitly declare, but later on want to find in the current working directory if not. And also we want to have a solution to be passed. How do we call this argument? Do we want to be explicit about project and solution, or do we just call it like path? I'm not wondering how is the argument called in .NET Build, for example? So, well, it's project an argument, so it doesn't have doesn't have a name, and the documentation says project or solution. Okay, so it's not really it's not named.
Okay.
I'm not wondering how other tools are calling that. Or is there a better name? Well, we could call it like
resource. No.
Resource in .NET context is something else. There's like .resx files. Those are resource files. That could be confusing.
Okay, then no. I mean, I think
project or solution.
Is it like a lot of work to have? No, definitely not. I don't like that. But is it like super difficult to have --? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna finish the sentence and then I'm gonna say why I stopped speaking. So I was wondering if it's super difficult to have like two different options, namely one that's project and one that's solution, that is kind of sort of doing a very similar thing. If it's like a lot of work and not really worthwhile, that we should sort of find a word to use. But then obviously, like with having two of those, it might be again like a little bit confusing, a little bit hard to use if you're just passing a solution, but you call it project or something, or the other way around because you're just used to it. Do you know what I mean? So you're kind of making mistakes, because you need to be super specific. You need to know what you're passing through, and that's obviously fair enough, because obviously we want you to know what you're doing to your project or your solution. But also, yeah, sometimes this is, I suppose people are using this tool at the end when they're finished coding, everything's done. They just want to, make it neat and make it the project a little bit cleaner. So, yeah, I'd want to make it as straightforward and simple to use as possible. And so, my answer to the question is, I don't have an answer.
Is it difficult? Well, if we named it separately, we would have code that basically assumes it's a CS proj. If it's not, we throw an exception. Here we assume it's a SLN file, and if it's or alternatively an SLN file, SLNF file, which is a solution filter file, and the solution filter file is filtering a solution, basically being a subset of that solution. So a solution filter file points to a solution and then says which project to include from that solution. So you can have basically one solution and then multiple filters for like smaller subsets of that big solution. If we would merge them into one path, then it would be, if you merge it in one path, it would be then we would have code to check, hey, is this a CS project or a solution? So we need to basically, well, it's not a lot of code, but this is what we would need, because there is a difference in loading. If we jump to our code, we currently only support projects. This is why we then get the workspace. Where is it? There it is. So via the project, we currently open a project where we pass in the project file path. When we want to do, sorry, I shouldn't have closed it. When we want to do a solution, then on the workspace, we don't call open project, but open solution, and we pass in the solution. So we do invoke different MS-build, or not MS-build, but MS-build workspace methods depending on what we have. So if we have path a solution, we basically had some filtering and some validation. Is it a .cs proj file, or is it a .solution file or a solution filter file? And if it's not, then we throw validation exception. If we separate them, then we could basically have MS-build do the
cleaner. Yeah.
Well, I guess it would still be good for us to verify and then for a nice readable exception, because I'm not sure what MS-build will throw if it's not a solution file. I'm not certain. But maybe that's actually, yeah, I'm not certain which is really better, but also that's an implementation detail that the user of the tool should not know about at all. It's an implementation detail. I think I'm now totally discarded that thought.
Wow. Okay. Right. Let's think. So this is okay. Wait, I have okay. Right. Usually, like if we fix this today, or if we do this, we would not need to put anything there at all. We would just assume the workspace that we're currently in is the one we mean.
Well, right? I think it's still a good idea to still offer that, because maybe the user of the tool doesn't necessarily want to navigate to the current working directory where the CS proj is. So I think it's still, it would be a nice default, but it would still be helpful to explicitly state it.
Generally speaking, because then, like, if a user wants to do that, they could just go to the help section and then see what options we have, and we can have the two options. We can explain what they need to pass in if they're using that option. But my idea was sort of, if you're just like a user doing it for the first time, you're just like, you're not sure what you're doing, and you kind of come into that pickle where we don't know which workspace you mean. We don't know where to globalize. And then maybe in that sort of response that you get, we could say, we don't know what you're talking about. Can you please specify a project or a solution using this and that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would then make it super straightforward and readable.
Like as a prompt? Do you mean as a prompt?
Yeah.
I like that. Although doing a prompt could be dangerous, because if that tool is invoked wrongly on a CI system, like on a remote machine, it's difficult to actually, if you automate that, well, we could have an option for that. The -- interactive option. This is usually, I think, this is also some .NET. I think there is a, if we do .NET restore -- interactive. And with that interactive flag, if you hit somewhere where you need to authorize and enter credentials, then this would come as a prompt. But it's not happening per default. Per default, it's failing. So I guess I'd like that. I like that option a lot, but then it should be behind an interactive flag, because I can't think of any .NET from the .NET SDK, any command that prompts without setting an option. And I think I would like to hide that behind an interactive flag.
Okay.
If this is, yeah.
Okay, so we'd have. I actually didn't quite understand the problem. So what happens when you're on a remote machine?
Because for example, what we now have a CI. What we do afterwards, we nuke. We have some CI. So
we have to show the website again, because it's a very good website.
There we go. Browser. Nuke.build.
Woo! I love
so we
that.
would run this on via GitHub Actions, and if we would run our tool on GitHub Actions, but the user makes a mistake, then the CI system would ask for a prompt. Well, I can imagine this is actually forbidden, because you can't interact with that. That's a remote machine. You don't have a keyboard for that. So I can actually imagine that CI systems prevent that from happening and then throw an error. But still, I have this feeling I would rather have and would like to enable prompts specifically. Maybe we could do this behind like an environment variable that we set to not need to pass it all the time, but have it enabled on a machine. But per default, I wouldn't. I have a bit of a hesitance of allowing prompts per default.
Okay.
But back to the question, maybe because you said a bit before, maybe because we may change it, and what do we start with? Perhaps because we currently only support project, let's call it project, and later on, and we basically move answering these questions to our future selves when we also support solutions.
I like that.
Future Stefan will hate me for that, but Stefan doesn't care.
Stefan's problem.
Yes.
He isn't here. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. Poor bastard. Cool. I moved that to a text file to, after the stream, create the issues accordingly. So we have content for the next year, I guess.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's go to our tests and let's break them.
Nice.
So we go to our CLI tests, because those are the ones. So in root, nothing will change in our root command. We still have the about and the info. That's cool. But we do want to change these two. Okay. So we create the arguments here. And we pass in the project file. Okay, so we no longer want to have, so we want to have the project. Here we don't explicitly state the usings, this will be later, but we want to explicitly state the project. So this would be adding an option and saying -- project for that. And we will do the same for...
Can I just ask a silly question? Can you go back to what you just changed? Oh yeah. So these are just, okay, this is just like create args, and so we have using, we have count, and these are arguments, and project is an option.
Those are well, okay. All of these are command line arguments.
Yeah.
Or yeah, because we pass the command line. But how it will be interpreted is we have, this is a command.
Yeah.
This is a command.
Yeah.
Now this is an option to the command with this value.
With this value. Okay. And it's an option because of the --, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
or alternatively, the shorthand version -p, still the same. So this is the option name and the option value. And those two, these are our commands. So actually we have this is our top level command, and count is a subcommand to that using command.
Got it.
And well, technically speaking, we also have a root command, which will be /over. This is our root command, but we don't have this on this level because we invoke our tool already directly. Later on, when we have it installed on our machine, then we need to say /over beforehand. We say the tool name, then we have these as subcommands, optional options, arguments, and so on.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. -- project. And also do that for that one. So we do pass this as an argument, and here as well, say -- project. Okay, now let's see those tests failing, I suppose. I guess we blame the thunder, right?
Yeah, totally. Of course.
So we have multiple failures. We expected that it actually counts and says we have 2 occurrences. Oh no, this is not the count. Let's jump to the count. Let's fix the count first. There we go. I was already on the globalizer. So the count, we expect to put, okay, like say in the test project and saying system is twice, but what we got is count and list all top level statements. So we actually got some help.
Help, yeah.
That's some help text onto the command line. So if we were to run that, .NET run, so if we say, like I'm adding a -p here, we get we get,
ooh,
I guess this here, the description. Well, this is an error, so this is not in the outstream, but we get that, yes. But in the outstream, because this is the outstream, here's the error stream, and in the error stream we get unrecognized command or argument, and that's here, unrecognized command or argument. So we have an error, and the output stream is not what we expect. So we have our failing test.
Woo.
Would you like to fix that?
Yeah.
There was I sense a hint of resignation. No, not resignation.
Yes.
English. So reservation.
Reservation. Yes, I would love to fix it. I am confident in my abilities. This is my mantra. As you can see, I don't quite believe it yet. No, Okay, so this is just like such a long time ago that we've worked
Mhm.
on these things that I have forgotten all of it.
Mm.
So there you go.
Let's walk briefly through it. So
Yeah.
now, because this is now system.command line, so let's highlight the system.command line stuff. So here we create about and info options for our root command. And then we set a handler for the root command. And we also add using commands. Actually, we don't add one using command. No, we add the using command, which has, again, subcommands. So we add the using command, which has two subcommands, the count and the globalize, where we now set a handler for both of them in order to count the usings and globalize the usings. And yeah, that's basically the overview of where we currently are.
Great. And so we now wait. So we now need to add project as an option, whereas before
Yes.
we had it as a argument.
Yes.
As an argument, actually. So
Yes.
there you go. Okay, so I will just look for wherever we.
Oops.
Add using. No, I'm confused. Oh, new argument file info project. No, that's actually, I'm in the wrong place.
No, you're not.
I'm in the right place?
Yes. Yes, it
I'm
is.
in the
Because
right place! Yes!
That's the project argument indeed, yeah.
Is it? Great.
Yeah.
I literally just looked for the word project.
Yeah.
And I found
this
it.
Is what I did basically as well.
Okay, good.
This is why naming is so important.
Okay, so this is project argument, new argument of type file info. And can I just go like new? It's not an argument. It's an, what is it?
The other thing.
The other thing.
No, this doesn't help at all. The thing that is optional.
Words. What, you know, the quote from Hamlet's Shakespeare's Hamlet is words, 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 and that's my quote, Shakespearean quote for the day. Did you just say it? And I Shakespeared over it.
Almost. The other thing that is optional.
An option.
Yes.
Oh my god. Option. Can I just do that? Of type file info.
Yes. So the file info thing here actually will do some parsing, and I think it checks if. Oh no, it doesn't do the checking yet. We can add that to check if that file really exists, but that's we'll do that afterwards.
Okay.
I'm currently logging into NuGet for later.
And now I count command add the project argument. Do I need to still add it if it's an option? Or does it do it all for me? Or do I
Yes,
have to
because
change
there
something
is
here as well?
because when we hover it, there is an overload to add
Oh,
the
yeah.
option.
There
Previously,
we are.
when it was, oops, I rewrote wrong stuff. Previously, it was an overload for. Sorry, there we go. Calling the before calling the argument overload. Now we have the option overload. So that should actually do all the things. But let's have a look at the option constructor. So the option constructor takes a name or an array of aliases. And this time I say alias right, because yesterday I said it wrong again.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe
and the
in
description.
tech it's also Elias.
It's not.
I don't know. I did check. You know, you can hope. Okay, so we need a name. We do have a name. That's a name.
Yes. So
What's
we
the
have
description?
yeah. So we either have a name or we could have a collection of strings. Which
Okay, now you said it twice. Now it makes me feel like you want a collection of names.
Oh yes. That's a good indicator. Yeah. Because we can. Well, do we want an alias for that? So do we want to be able to say -- project or -p in short?
Yes, we absolutely do. We absolutely do. And so do I just have like a new like a new, I don't know, a new string array? Yes.
Let's try that. If you can create a new string array.
That was okay, so this is the explicit thing. That was autocorrect. I didn't do that on purpose. But this is like the explicit thing, right? And then the
Yes.
curly thingies. And then
Yes.
I'll just do it. And then this is what I usually do. And then Stefan comes and is like, actually, you can do it like, and then it's a lot shorter. So, but I always forget the short version. So is there any way to shorten it, Stefan?
Since the compiler knows that this is a string, we could. Can we?
Yeah, get rid of this.
Can we? Oh, yes, we can. I wasn't sure.
Project. Yes. And then just like P. Why is this
Just like P,
capitalized,
yes.
actually?
But
Does
because previously on the command, it was previously on the argument. Since an argument is positional and an argument doesn't have a name, option has a name, but the argument doesn't have a name. On the argument, that was not the name. That was That was, well, okay, it has a name, but you never write this name. This name is only printed in help and in help text. And I think I made it uppercase because it's also .NET Build also uses in these arguments progress resolution as uppercase. So I guess this is why we went with uppercase there.
Lowercase, right?
But passing it as an option, yes. This should be lowercase.
Do we need the dashes?
I think so. I'll take a brief look at how we did it for the others. We said dash dash and then having dash aliases. Yes, we do.
Nice.
And I guess also
now
making the P lowercase, so it's all lowercase.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that. Sorry. Yay.
Now we try to get value for argument. Doesn't work with an option. So I guess let's rename the project argument into project option.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Option. Okay, and then right.
If you,
I
think you could have hit. I think there's a rename. There's a rename refactoring.
Yeah.
Actually, can we revert the change? Let's see if that rename refactoring works on your end as well. Can you just click anywhere in that identifier project name and hit Control R, keeping Control pressed and hitting R, what's the English? Well, in German it's Richard.
Rabbit. No, it's it's
NATO alphabet. The NATO phonetic alphabet R is Romeo.
Okay. Back to Shakespeare.
But
so
J is
J
is Juliet.
But now I'm like uncertain as to where it opened. I think it opened.
Can you do, for example, when I hit Control R, I get this little pop-up. Do you get that?
So I got it, and then I let go of R, and then it vanished, and then I tried it again.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
So
it's gone though.
Interesting. Can you try it again?
Then it goes. Then I get an error noise. I was gonna make it on live on stream, but then I refrained from it because I realized that I was in live stream. Let's see. I'm struggling. Can you rename it for me,
I guess
please?
this doesn't. Maybe this is doesn't work in live share. So project option. There we go.
Thank you.
But we still have a compiler error because get value for argument doesn't seem to work for an option.
Okay. Do you have any other options?
Well, let's try if there is a different method.
Yeah.
Not get value for argument. Perhaps there is get value for option. Let's take a look. And well,
there is.
And it returns an object. I don't like that. I was hoping it was. Does it have a generic version that takes? Oh yes, it does. So there's a generic version that then returns that option. Yeah. So let's replace that via for get value for argument option.
It vanished again. I tried it again. I'm just gonna type.
We can't rename that because that's not our method. we would rename the symbol. We would rename the symbol get value for argument. That's a name that exists on source code that we don't own.
Okay.
So it's only in the library, so we can't rename that. Now we need to actually exchange these calls. Yeah.
That's it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Just twice.
Well, yes, because that's otherwise the using argument. Yeah.
Now we get a warning.
That's the argument. Yeah, we get I think that's a nullability warning.
Oh.
We try to converting a null literal to a non-null value type. So do you know what we need to do in order to fix that warning here in that line?
Question mark?
Indeed.
Nice. Question is where? Okay. Is it just afterwards to know?
No, not here, because we don't do anything with the invocation. The thing is, get value type for option returns a file info of question mark. So nullable file info, but we do assign it to a file info, not question mark, non-nullable.
No,
on the type,
file
not
info on the type. We've had that last episode as well.
Yeah,
nice.
Question marks are not valid identifiers. For identifiers, we can only use alphanumeric characters or underscores. But a number cannot be first. So one project is not a valid identifier, but P1 project is. But an underscore would be allowed to have anywhere. So those are the rules for valid C# identifiers.
Nice.
Oh, yes, and I wasn't looking at the chat. Your Salty Devil helped us out with the R stands for, or Romeo stands for R.
Smart.
But now we get a warning here. Now we get a nullable warning because file info could be null, but then so if it's not set, then we still pass the full name, and this would cause a problem. This would crash the application. So later on, when we would... should we just implement the thing with the current working directory? Yeah. That's some work. Because we called the method, the episode, release time. So I guess we should stick with the release. So for now, we could throw an exception and say this will be fixed in the future.
Nice. Okay.
I'm finding the issue. We could also add the GitHub link to complain that this is not working. So let's see. So if the file info is null, then we want to throw an exception.
Okay. What? But we just made it question mark time.
Yes. So, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. So you want? Is there an if check here?
No, because before we call that, we don't know the file info yet. But here we now do. Well, we could, because since it's an option, it's optional. It perhaps is not set, and if it isn't, then it's null.
Got it.
And therefore, we now need to check afterwards. Yes.
Is null.
The issue.
And actually, I'm gonna do it like
Do I
this.
not have the current version?
Then. What exception do we throw? Not implemented.
Not implemented is something that is not yet implemented. You know what? That sounds good. Not implemented is actually a codified to do. So this will be implemented in the future. So I guess this is the correct. Yeah, it's correct.
And a little message. This will be implemented.
Perhaps let's say. So we currently need to explicitly set it. Oh yeah. So this will be. So what will be implemented in the future?
Please set it. No, the project.
Yes.
Please wait. Okay. Please set. Why set? Please use Please.
Or we pass. What do we do? We pass this via the command line. Yeah.
Specific. Is that how you spell it? Yeah.
We could also add we could say like via -- project, for example, to have a nice message. I'm also adding this. We don't have an issue for that just yet. Create one afterwards. Please pass a specific project via -- project. Let's say pass. Should we say pass the path to a specific project?
Pass a specific project path.
Cool. I'll add a colon at the end, and let's do the same because here we also have a nullable warning. So let's fix that nullable warning down there as well.
And are you happy with my if check, or is that also something to be optimized?
Yes, that is perfect.
Okay. Nice.
Well, alternatively, we could do equals null, but I do prefer the pattern matching one when it comes to null checks.
Same.
It also could technically. I don't think file info actually implements equality, does it? No, it doesn't. But technically, if the equals operator would be overloaded by file tab, which it isn't, but if it was, then we would invoke the equality method, which still eventually should do the right thing, unless it was wrongly implemented. But then we do a little bit more than we had to. If we call isNull, this is under any circumstances, this is just a basic null check, never anything more. So I guess I not only prefer it syntactically, but also semantically.
And is this why we get the 3 dots underneath the if, or is that a different reason?
I think the null check could be simplified and basically in something like this.
Yeah.
But since this is something temporary, I would keep it that way, because then we just go ahead, delete that, and implement our let's find in the current working directory project logic.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's check if we have any warnings. Let's build the solution. If all the warnings are gone. We built all succeeded. Yeah, okay. We have some info, some stylings, but those are just images. We will take care of these in the future episode, but we have no more warnings. Okay. So I guess this actually should fix the issue. Let's see what's happening if we run that. I think I had a command first where we have it here, don't I? Yes. Let's run a command again where let's actually pass a project that doesn't exist. Let's not pass. Let's forget to crash the world. Crashed my world. Yes. Let's not pass the project. And it says not implemented exception. Please pass a specific project via -- project. Yeah, this is not nice at all.
No.
I think this is even bad because we leak some internal implementation details. But it's for now. I guess it's fine.
Okay. If you say so, I trust your judgment.
We're releasing a preview package. That's okay, and we'll fix that later. And this is really, this will not happen in future releases. I guess this will be actually, this could be our next thing. And if we do -p, then it actually still works. Or dashing -- project. That also works, but if we pass -project, then and yes. We are now accumulating some tech debt. We haven't even released the first version and already have tech debt. This is not good.
What is tech debt?
Stuff that, not functional issues that you have in your project, but technical issues that you have in your project that may prevent you that may hurt your project in the long run, developing it and adding features to it.
Okay, got it. Nice. Yes, we are indeed accumulating it.
And well, if we pass a wrong argument, it says, okay, doesn't find. But if we pass it wrongly, then we get this disgusting, but it guides you how to fix it. So that's good for now. Cool. I interrupted you. You said, should we
run the tests?
Yes, we should.
You're basically doing some manual tests first.
So this tech depth usually happens when you try to ship it faster by cutting some corners. That's actually what we're doing.
That's not at all what we're doing. We're
exactly
calculated and prepared. Yeah, no. Oh no.
Well,
but we called the episode like that. We don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
That's why. Nice. And I blame the storm. So nice. Hello.
I did the wrong thing. Share screen. Hello. And back. Yes, I wanted to click that.
Nice.
And yeah, that's the painful thing. It's not even released yet, but hopefully the next 30, 45 minutes. Speaking of,
our tests are green. So
tests are green. So we can now segue into perhaps let's commit that. So we have a commit for that. Bringing up the page for conventional commits. Conventional commits. Because I always need to think about what shall we use as a prefix. I should know them by heart, but I don't. So what did we do? We actually changed some. Actually, we had some breaking change.
Oof.
But is that a feature? I guess that's a feature. But it's technically a breaking change because, well, we haven't released it yet. So it's not really a breaking change, but technically it's a breaking change to what it was before. So we will add an exclamation mark because the breaking changes are signified via exclamation point. So we have feature change project paths from argument to option. We don't want that. We don't want to change the git ignore here. This is for later. We have changed these two options, yes, and fixed or updated the tests. Cool. Change project paths from argument to option, co-authored, commit. Cool. And there we have it, nuke. And activating training just joined the time to now for the CI stuff.
Nice to see you again. Read you again. Does that make sense?
Read you again, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. So in 2, 3, 4 episodes ago with Matthias, we included nuke. And we have a CSproj, our nuke build CSproj, and also this build definitions. And perhaps as a reminder and going through stuff, let's go through that as a bit of a reminder. And I think we still have some. This is pretty much what we left. The only thing that we changed from this episode is doing the publish action below the CI action. So okay, that's the change. Otherwise, it's still as we left it with Matthias. So perhaps let's briefly scan through it and see what we have. We have 2 build actions of 2 GitHub actions, CI and publish. And I guess what we did also, our our Visual Studio builds were, no, our build was failing on macOS. No, I think we used Ubuntu. It was failing on Ubuntu. Then we switched to Windows because we had some, in our solution, we had a .NET Framework project and that failed. So we switched to Windows. So I guess our first action could be is that we switch we can run our CI on all 3 major operating systems, so on Windows, Ubuntu, and macOS, and then choose one for a publish action. I would choose something other than Windows Server because Windows Server is the slowest of the 3. I guess Ubuntu is usually the kind of a default.
Okay. So so we use all 3 for CI.
Yes. So basically, since the attribute first receives a name, then it receives one image at least, and then we pass additional images, just comma separated. So let's pass in the other 3 as well. The other 2.
Okay.
If you would like to do that.
Wait, is it just a copy paste situation of this line?
No. Well, we can also change it. Well, not exclusively, but yeah. Because so what we want to do is currently we only use the Windows Server, but we also would like to use the latest Ubuntu and the latest macOS as well. So we pass in not only one GitHub Actions image, but multiple GitHub Action images. And we can just pass them comma separated because the argument requires at least one image and then allows multiple images to be passed afterwards.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. So we actually don't need, wait, no, it doesn't make any sense. Wait. So I was but we still need, okay, wait. But my instinct is just to go like GitHub image, GitHub image, what? GitHub Actions image, there we are. The dot, oh, come on. Sorry, I can't see my, is it?
So the latest macOS and
yeah.
Or the latest Ubuntu, and then also the latest Ubuntu.
Okay. GitHub Actions image dot. Yay.
Cool.
And then, okay, wait. We need the multiple cursor thingy. Yes.
Ooh.
No, it doesn't work. Why? Oh, don't know why it didn't work. How does it? What is it again? I thought it was just Alt.
I forget. Is it Control Shift Alt?
Is it?
It's.
I thought it was just Alt.
It's Control Alt.
Control
Alt. Then you can place multiple cursors all over the place.
That would have worked. There you go.
Sweet. And let's for our publish action. Let's not use Windows Server, but let's use Ubuntu instead.
Okay.
Cool. We also have a comment of the fetch depth. I think what we discussed is, well, we wanted to use we started to think about using a tool that automatically versions our tool. But we currently do manual versioning or explicit versioning, and will later on switch to tools that do automatic versioning. So for now, we could actually use a fetch depth of one, because because we don't use the entire Git history on the CI system, so we could just reduce it to fetch depth 1. But later for the release, later when we switch to a tool that does the versioning automatically, then we definitely want to bring that back. And I will also add this to the other thing. I'm not sure about the order. How do we best? Should we? What's like the most from these optional names? Is it? Well, here we have some branches, and then we have the fetch depth. Yeah, I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
And the invoked targets. Then we have okay.
Looks good.
Cool. What do we have commented here? there is also some on actions. I think we discussed this last time. There are, yes, actually training says that there is also specific latest packages. We could use them, and then when later on a new version of Windows Server or Ubuntu or macOS is released, then we automatically switch.
That.
However, I don't.
Why?
Because what I like is having reproducible builds. So if we check out an earlier version of our code and try to build it again, we would then still use the latest version and not what we had previously.
Yeah, but we want to be up to date with the latest stuff available.
Yes, but then I would claim then we make a pull request and change it to the latest when the new is released. Yes, we would need to observe it. We don't get it automatically, but I kind of prefer reproducible builds, so that one state of the source code is self-contained and not depending on what some other system claims to be latest.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because
sorry,
it could be, yes, it could be that it breaks on a new OS. Well, I guess our code won't, but if we would have some dependencies on, technically there could be issues, yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of prefer the explicit ones, yeah. And I'm just gonna move Ubuntu to the top as well here, because we have it here as well. Or just do alphabetic search. Is that alphabetic?
No.
That would be alphabetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And we have, what do we have here? We also have, okay, we could also say on push. I think we can also say when should this action be called on push and on a pull request. But I guess we don't, this was just for showcasing the feature. We don't really need that, because we said it, I think we said it like here, on pushes to branch and on pull request to branch. If we were doing it on all branches, then this on, I guess, would be the go-to. Cool. Then we have a clean that we haven't really implemented yet. So I guess let's implement the clean.
Right.
Would you mind starting with .NET? Because what we do for the other targets, we call .NET, or also like there is a lot of methods like .NET build. Let's have a look at what, if there is, is there a .NET clean?
Yes, there is. Woo.
Cool. Does this take something? This takes a .NET tool settings, but that's optional. Okay. And I think we still need to set the solution. Go cheating because I forgot this syntax about here. For example, for .NET build, we set a project file and a configuration. And I think there's also pretty cool documentation. So if we take a look at the action, we see what it all supports. So we have, we have a configuration. The framework we are not really using. So configuration, and there's a no logo. And there is a project. Okay, so we should set the project, the configuration, and no logo. Okay. And I think there should be methods for that after calling the .NET clean, because .NET clean returns some object that I guess has extension methods on it. So we should be able to set the project. Or is there something with project? Can you just enter project and see what autocompletion has in store for us?
Nothing on my end. Maybe it's maybe you can try.
Ooh, because I made a dramatic mistake. It's not, we have this syntax here. We say underscore goes to underscore, and then on that invoke. Okay, my bad. So we pass a lambda, and in that lambda we now have okay, those are not extension methods.
Underscore, and then what happened then?
On that now we can say dot something
Yeah.
with project, I hope.
And I think we had, something like this. Project. Just project. Set project.
Set project sounds good, yeah. And I can recall how we actually set the project. There was set project file, and then we pass in our solution. There was a set project. Is there a set project file?
I'm not sure. Sorry, I need to delete it again because it vanished. No, it doesn't.
You should be able to invoke autocompletion when hitting Control space. Okay, there's only a set project.
There's only a set project.
Yeah, then let's set project.
Okay.
And pass in the project, our solution.
Solution, nice. And then...
But our solution, I think, is uppercase, so...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're correct.
And let's set the configuration.
Dot set configuration.
And pass the configuration. I think we also have that available. Yes. And let's set no logo.
No logo. Nice.
Just
why is there an 8? Just no logo.
Yes.
I can't.
This is what it exists. Oh, yes, no logo. Oh, there is... no, hold on. With no logo, we pass in something. So we want to call... There is a set no logo, a toggle no logo. I guess enable no logo would be the thing. Do we do that already? No logo somewhere? And then in other parts, we called enable no logo. So let's do enable no logo.
Yes. Enable no logo. Nice.
Cool.
And then
I guess in the
close brackets. Yeah, right?
And we
one close.
Here, yes.
And probably something like that. Yes. And that's ugly somewhat.
How we formatted it is we just closed it there. So yeah.
Got it. Yes.
And I think we need one more. Yes, because we're now closing. No, hold on. No, never mind. Yes. Okay, cool. And I think we want to indent these 3.
Let me get my multiple thingy cursor. Multiple line.
Also, you don't really, well, if you do spaces, then if you indent or outdent with tab, then you don't need multiple spaces. You can just highlight the lines you want to indent and then hit tab or shift tab to outdent.
Got it.
And I guess another action would be to also clean some of our output, because what we have, if we switch to the folder view, our tests, if we run our tests, I guess we should run our tests because is it not because it's not part of the solution, is it not? Okay. I think I need to jump into the solution my file explorer. There it is. Because what we have is also an artifacts folder, and this artifacts folder includes some artifacts that we created. For example, the intermediate files for our tests that we create and then run our tests against. So perhaps we also want to delete that directory.
Yeah, totally.
And I think we have the artifacts directory already available. We have artifacts. We have here an absolute path for artifacts. Let's try to find out if we can say artifacts directory dot. Maybe there is a helper method on that already, or some extension method. And if it's not, then we do a manual file dot or directory dot delete.
Sorry, what was it? Artifacts directory.
But not this is not part of the .NET Clean, so this will be a separate.
Oops.
Because this is not, that's not part of the .NET Clean invocation.
Artifacts directory. Dot.
I don't know if there is something on that. Is there something like delete? Oh, there actually is.
Oh, wait.
Delete the directory recursively when existent. Cool. And then it No, that's an extension method. It doesn't take anything.
Oh. That was autocomplete. It wasn't even me.
This is why I like to turn off the autocomplete feature.
I do not like to turn it off. I like it very much.
Cool. Okay. Then is there something else we would want to clean? I guess that's it. So let's run that and see if it actually deletes this directory. So I'm putting here, oops, this one here, and say that's in nuke dash help to see our commands, and then do nuke.clean, or just nuke clean. And now this artifacts directory should vanish. And it does. Cool. So that works. Perfect. And then what else do we have? We have some comments here. I think, yeah, this is where Matthias explained us how the parameters work, because we do have a parameters JSON file and how the precedence is happening between passing it here, setting a default here, and so on. So I guess we don't need the solution one anymore. We do have version solution, look at API key, and look at source. Perhaps what I would like to do is have them in the same order as in our parameters here. So I'll move the solution up, and then we have two parameters. That's a secret that moves down. Okay. Cool. Then what else did we do? We have a .NET restore where we restore the solution. Yeah. Okay, cool. I guess we could, we now have, here we have a bit of a different syntax, because what we do here is .NET and then basically invoke that via the, like as an argument. What we could do is the same thing. I think there should be a .NET restore as well, and then do it similarly like we do down there, having, because we don't call this, but we use the nice syntax. So perhaps let's do the same to be consistent.
Restore, nice. And then we need underscore arrow underscore. And
let's see what .NET restore has in store. We can pass a, yeah, we want to set a project. We want to, oh, there was a force flag. We want to, there's one time source, nothing else. So we just want to set the project.
Set project one.
Or is it just project?
Oh, is it?
I'm not sure. Project file.
Set project
file. Yeah.
Nice.
And pass in our solution.
Nice. And now I'm confused with, okay, this one is missing. And we can get rid of that, right? Nice.
And formatting.
Formatting, yes. I can put my cursor anywhere, and then I can just, no.
If you, no. I think just a multi-line, if it, yes.
Got it.
So let's do a nuke restore, see if that's working as intended.
Woo!
And it seems to have the terminal project. All projects are still up to date for restore. Okay, cool. So can we do, if we do a new, no, okay. Then we compile, we do a .NET build, setting pollution, the project file configuration, and no restore. Okay, we got that. What I think here we played a bit with, we can like skip we can skip all dependencies in nuke and do different stuff on skipping. So that's pretty cool, but we don't need that here. Then Matthias explained us how on different operating systems, the path separators look differently. So we got that. On test, we still have something with a if it's Windows or not, because we thought about running tests if they're Windows. I think we're gonna need that, but let's see how it fails, and then we can react to this accordingly. Let's keep it, because I think we may still have a problem because we still run the tests, the project tests, so we want to exclude only them. I guess I hope this can be done with traits in XUnit, but we will come to that. But we got the rest here, so we will come back to that. Then we do a pack, create the NuGet package, and publish, but the publish should only be executed by the CI build. Okay, cool. So this is our thing. Let's take a look at the plan. If you say nuke plan, we get this nice HTML generated of how our it's dash plan, isn't it? Yes, because what if we call that's an option, not a target? Okay, so we can compile. If we compile, we store, and we can optionally clean. We can test, then publish, or pack and publish. Hold on, why do we test and publish? Where do we publish after the test?
Isn't it because we run tests before we publish?
But we shouldn't, like, this is like our CI path. Yes, before we publish, we run the tests. Yes, and it also depends. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I was wrong. Yes, that would be good to run the test before. I'll just clean up the stuff that we don't need here, and I guess it's time to push, isn't it?
It is.
And let's see if this is and how failing. Let's take a look at our project and see if how our current CI build is doing. It's actually passing. Cool. So currently we are good. Let's potentially break that.
Nice.
What's our conventional commit thing for here? We did. Sorry, where is that? Is that? Need to follow that. Either build or CI. I guess it's kind of both. Maybe let's go with build.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, have we changed? No, what we really changed is, perhaps we do two commits. A build commit, so we to have them nicely separated. So not changing these, but changing. I will mess things up if we do it partially. Let's go with build.
Yeah.
Since actually, let's go with CI, because this is not what we expect to fail.
Okay.
Enable.
I mean, this is just a message, right? It's just.
Yes,
stuff.
well, but still, it should be like revealing.
Yeah, of course.
Great commit messages, yeah. But so enable, because we basically did two things. We also implemented we implemented clean as well. So you know what? Let's do that. Let's have the clean in one clean build. Implement clean target. And let's have a CI for add Mac OS. Is it spelled like this? And Ubuntu.
Mac OS, yeah.
Ubuntu.
Well, the S is actually lowercase.
The S is, well, I mean, like not from the enum,
okay.
But how is it like? How is the product? How's the product macOS spelled?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's macOS. Okay. So cool. We changed this. We also have a fetch. The fetch depth, I think we can also apply to the. We did. Never mind. because this is now the CI has changed the YAML, because we now do what you see here. We have macOS and Ubuntu and Windows targets, and on publish we changed to Ubuntu, and we removed that parameter. We don't want to commit that plan. I guess we want to, perhaps we want to add that to that path to our Git ignore, because we never want to commit this execution plan, because it's like a helper thing. It's not this is generated. It's not really something that we need. It's not a source. So do you know the git ignore file and the syntax of a git ignore file?
There's only one. It only occurred once in my life where I needed to create one, and it was awful. And yeah, I basically did a lot of copy pasting at 2 a.m. in the morning until it worked. So I have no recollection of it, but yeah, that's my experience with it.
Basically, what we could add something simple is that we, for example, what we have with .NET style, like debug and release folders, and the bin and object folders are ignored. So we basically can just add perhaps let's go to the very, very bottom, and let's add we can add a comment here as well saying nuke. So we have a section for our nuke ignores. And what we want to ignore is, if we go back to git ignore, I guess everything that is in .nuke/temp, because that looks temporary. I guess this should never be, nothing from there should ever be committed, because where we see there are some build logs, we don't want to commit the entire directory.
Okay, so nuke ignore. Wait.
We just call it nuke, because this is like the sections in the comment. It's just a section, and here we say nuke /temp. Yeah. And I think we need a trailing. Yes. And I also think that nuke is all capital, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
I need to check on the website. Or at least it says here. Yeah, I think it's all capital.
Okay. And also here, or?
No, because in the directory, in the actual physical directory, that's lowercase.
It's not. Yeah. Nice. Great.
Oops. I didn't want to show that. It was the backend.
I just realized how like nuke, if it's just one other letter, it's like Nike, like the sports.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There's also some great merchandise potential there. I think.
So we
Can
need
you
sponsored.
imagine? Yeah, like just like like selling stuff that's kind of like Nike, but it's nuke. I like that idea. I would buy that.
Oops.
Nike is so expensive. Just buy nuke. Yes, I went on like a hiking trip and I wanted to have like a sports shirt, and there's like a Nike store, a really nice one, in, where on the like main shopping street, and I was like, I'm sure they'll have a shirt, and they did have a shirt. It was a crop top, and it was like 60 euros, and I was like, why is there's so little fabric? I mean, I'm sure it's like good fabric or like sportsy fabric, but it can't be like, it's not made of gold. What's going on? It's just black crop top. You can just, get it for 2 euros somewhere else. There you go. I didn't get it. I'm wearing a black crop top actually, and I think this one was even free because it was my housemate's, so she gave it to me.
Cool.
I didn't steal it. But yeah, it didn't cost 60 euros. And you could get one, like, if you get one with like nuke on it, and you sell it for 30 euros, everyone would be like, bargain. I'd get that.
Perhaps also the creator and the maintainers get a little bit of it. Share.
Yeah.
I think there is nuke cappies, but I'm not sure if there is a store for that. I think that's a very limited supply. But that didn't seem to work. And I guess now because I tried to run it again and it get added here again.
Okay.
Now I'm wondering, okay, now I'm not a master of git ignore. Does it need to be commit it actually so that it works. You saw the devil is suggesting some guides. How to get started with git ignore. So I guess I need the guide as well. Does it? If the exclusion is not, or if the ignore is not pushed yet or committed yet, rather, does it mean it doesn't work, or did we make a mistake? Because if I remove that file, or was it? Oh no, hold on. The file was still on disk. Maybe it's related to that. So if I remove, we actually committed. Never mind. Yeah, Eggplant says normally staged is enough, and this is what's happening here under the hood. And yes, we actually had this file committed, so that was the problem. Okay, we now delete the file, and let's run it again. Okay. It should not reappear. We actually had that file pushed previously. I guess that was a oversight from our end, and it does get added again. But perhaps we just need to delete it to be gone, and then the exclusion works. Why is it not? Is it actually, if we do git status, is it actually, it's not added actually. I'm rarely using command line. Is this git add --all git status? Now it's green. Now it's actually staged. Okay. I can suggest that when it's staged is enough. So now when we remove the file, we actually say it's deleted. And if we run it now again, nuke plan, and that concludes, it should not be added again, but it is. Okay. Not sure if this has to do because it's already checked in, and then it's overwritten, and not certain. Maybe
is it? I mean, maybe I'm completely sorry, but this is because here it has like a is it a backslash or a forward slash? Because it's a different slash than we have in the code.
But I think git ignore is taking care of that, because if this was a issue, then none of our git ignore stuff would work because we have the / everywhere. I think it's just the git ignore status standard uses /, but then on Windows it's interpreted with \. Okay. And Eggplant is telling us that it is already tracked, so that's our.
That's why.
So we commit the first deletion, and then it should be fine. Okay. Cool. So our git ignore should be good, and we push the rest of it. Yes, and we say add macOS and Ubuntu to the CI. So, but now let's run it again. And yeah, now it doesn't get added anymore. Nice. Okay, now it's gone. Cool. Thank you, Eggplant, for your help. Let's push that.
I think it's Eggplant in training. It's very,
Eggplant in training.
Isn't it?
Eggplant in training, yes.
Yeah, it's a very, very important distinction.
Okay. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. The push was. I see. The push was rejected by the server because we need to do a force, I suppose. We'd like to open a browser and grant, because we need to do a force push.
Ooh.
Or GitHub doesn't, or GitHub Desktop doesn't allow changing workflow files via that. Well, we could add them online, but I guess that's a security measure. Now I need to log in. Of course, I do not know my things by heart, so I will need to enter the credentials. Oh no, worked. Cool. Okay, now it was pushed. And let's see. Actually, this is no longer a draft. Let's mark this ready for review. And now the CI is running. And we indeed run on macOS. Let me zoom in. one indeed on macOS, Ubuntu, and Windows. And let's see how they are doing. Okay, so the Windows, I guess the Windows build doesn't have all too many resources, it appears. We're waiting for one. I guess this was one of the reasons why it just takes so much longer.
This is why you said, yeah, should use a different one.
Let's take a look at the others. So we're currently in test phase. That was something red, wasn't it? Oh yes.
Ooh.
But also the
S, okay.
Okay, so that one failed. Is there a cool? Yes, and it's actually a cool output. So build failed. Now we can take a look at the test. And this says that, okay, both the SDK style project fails. That troubles me. But also the .NET Framework. I would expect the .NET Framework to fail, but not the, let's see. Oh, that's because of different order. Come on.
Wait, what?
So that's painful.
What's the problem?
Okay.
Oh,
okay, cool.
macOS.
So on Ubuntu and macOS, behavior is different than on my local Windows machine when it comes to the order of files being added. So it appears, that's okay, that's cool. The test failed because our hierarchy of our file system doesn't match. So if we jump to the code, it's failing. Now that's exciting. It's failing at the assertion stage here when we basically have so we first set up our project with some CS files and our project. Then we run the tool, and then we expect some output that the system using is gone. But on something interesting, and we also compare the hierarchy, but it seems that on Unix systems, it's like we create a string. I guess this is not the best logic. We create a string that contains all projects. No, all files on disk. But how we create that string now seems to be different on the operating system. So on Windows, it appears that the global using is coming first and then the my classes. But on Unix, it's the other way around, which is, well, I guess that's a problem of our logic, because here, when we verify, I think this is, let's see where this is actually failing, in assert file system tree. So that's here. This is where we, okay, but that's only the diff, is it? Yes, we get the, no, hold on. File system tree equal, so it's got to be this method that fails. And yes, so we get in the actual files, and then we compare them with the expected files, and it's just returning, it's doing one by another. So if they're not in the same order, that's bad. But does the order matter? No, it doesn't. So what we could do, and perhaps there is some, so what we have here is, well, we know already, we have our actual files that come in. Here they are. Our actual files that we actually have on disk are the same amount of files that we have on that we have expected. So now we have two collections, and we want to assert that both collections have the same content, but the order should be irrelevant.
Yep.
And with link, you can have two collections and then do some operations on it to, for example, get the how they are called? Always forget. Get the it's not called different. Okay, there is distinct. Perhaps Eggplant training could help me there, because I always forget those. I think there's three methods. We can do an except, which creates a set difference, produces a set difference between two sequences. So I think if we have two collections, basically, so what I'm trying to get to is we have two collections, and 1, 2, 3 should be equal to 1, 1, 3, 2, but it should not be equal to 1, 4, 2. So we want to have all elements in that other collection, but the order is irrelevant. This is why we can't do a sequence equal, because they should be in order. But we want to check if it has the same items just in the collection. And I think that there is, I'm not sure if this is, there is various methods which can produce different or set differences between two collections. Let me just browse through all the methods, which could be it. Distinct, and there is a third one. Intersect. I think those are the three that could be, but I always forget the one that we should use. So they both get simple two collections, and then I think intersect returns a sequence that contains the elements that form the set intersection of two sequences. So I think that are contained in both. Then we have distinct, that are items that are only contained by one sequence but not the other. And except is, I'm not sure what a set difference. Oh, I always forget about this. Do you know perhaps?
Me?
Yeah.
No, maybe, I don't know. I tried to Google something, but I was like also half listening to you. But like maybe something with like equivalent or equivalent. No, okay. Eggplant training is actually saying.
Yes, thank you for helping us out. I always need to look these up and look in the documentation what to do.
Okay, you already got it.
They suggest to use except, and then that should be empty, because except produces the set difference of two sequences by using the comparer.
That's good.
Okay, cool. But what we do want to do is the actual file. Our actual files, they have the full path. So they start with like C, I don't know, my folder /git /tool. Then we are in the artifacts folder, artifacts /scratch, and then we have our scratch. And then we have our project under test. And then we have our, let's say, my class.cs. But in the expected, we don't pass in basically what's part of this. What's part of this full qualified paths. We only pass, basically we ignore the root here more or less. We only pass in that. So this is why we need this method here, path.getRelativePath, which gets the relative path to that file. So if we pass in, because we know this directory, so we pass in this directory, then we pass in the actual full path, which is that, And what this method is doing is basically cutting it off here and extracting that for us. And we want to do that for every actual file. So in order to do this now with link, we want to select all of the expected files and then accept that with our expected files. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
it
we
does
have
make sense.
files we want to select it.
Mm-hmm.
We pass in we pass a lambda because we want to do this path get relative path. And then starting from that, we do this accept, and that one should be empty.
Mm-hmm.
If empty, then match. Would like to give that a try.
Yeah, but also I need to brush up on my link knowledge. I actually have no clue about that. I mean, I've done it before, as you know, but I've forgotten it. So there you go. Yeah. Okay.
So basically, point out the method names already.
Oh, I didn't, but I didn't look at the stream. I looked at my thing.
Ah,
no.
okay.
Oh no, okay. So, but I'm pretty sure it starts with select. But
yes, but we want to do that on a collection already because the select, that's an extension method. So we want to put that on the files.
What? From where? Oh no, I didn't do that.
Actually, training is also suggesting if the list is small, like here, a simple where would also be possible. Well, currently it's small. It could be any size to have a where. What I'm not understanding. Why don't I get it? What could have where we say where? I don't get it.
Well, in the
stehe auf der Leitung in German. Yeah.
So instead of from blah 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 in blah blah blah, where blah blah blah, select blah blah blah.
You actually
just go where blah blah blah, select whatever. So where I don't actually know.
Because you know want to use the actual, so the real link. I totally, because that's very SQL like, and my SQL skills are -1. I always like to use the extension methods. So I never used this. Are you familiar with
that's
the
why
link
you
syntax?
said with file. So we start with file. Is that what you said?
So we say files dot and then have this extension method.
Files dot. I love it.
Now I get, okay, where Ekman suggests where, and then we check. Then we basically check if it's containing. Yes.
Okay.
So now I understand. For small lists it would be cool. For larger lists, this is a little bit imperformant because we do multiple contains checks, so we potentially iterate the one list multiple times. This is why Eggplant in training suggested to use small lists, but we don't necessarily know it's a small list. Maybe later on we have tested where we have bigger projects, and then it would work, but it wouldn't be best performant, and I like performance, so I kind of like to do the select accept thing.
Okay, I've got to select, and I've got to select many.
Select many is if you do projection from a collection. I think this is basically flattening. So if you have an object that again has a selection, if you don't select a single object but multiple objects from an object, then you have basically a collection of collections, and the select many flattens that into a single collection. But since we only have singular objects, the regular select is sufficient.
And do we need these for that?
No. The compiler, we could, but the compiler can infer this for us.
Okay. But it is a method, so we need those.
Yes.
And
now we write a lambda. Now we're passing a function. Now we're passing our selector function, because we want this is basically a projection. We want to, every file, we want to project, basically to calling this method down there. So first we pass in the name of the parameter for this lambda, which is an anonymous function.
Okay, so just like any.
Yes, I personally don't like X. I would rather use a more, since we have files here, I would call that file, or to be more clear, maybe actual file, because this is basically what we have down here as well. Then we just need to copy paste the code.
Actual file. And then
we could basically, you should be able to just copy this path from down there, just paste it up.
Wait, the whole thing?
The whole thing, yes.
Oh my God.
So we are now moving this from an absolute path to a relative path.
I'm pretty sure I haven't gotten the last thing you selected. Yes. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. We don't want this last character because that's a semicolon.
That's a shame.
We're not terminating the line, we're not terminating the statement here just yet. I'll just give that a new line here so that it fits almost on the screen. Okay, cool. And then we do an except on that.
Yeah. Am I still with my params? Yes. Okay. And then except. Nope. Oh, and we. Yes.
Cool. And we want to. We need to pass in what do we want to accept on, and this will be the underscore files.
Underscore files, because
those are our expected files that we passed in.
Actual files, expected files. Got it.
But now we have a problem because I think those are different types. Yes, because we pass in here a file info, but our expected files are a collection of tuples that are text and file path. Now I'm wondering, does the except allow a selector function as well, or is this, well, it allows a comparer, but I think now I am kind of expecting a method that is coming in .NET 8. We don't have that. Oh, there is except by. Oh no, this is already added. Cool. Because in the except by, we can. Oh no, this doesn't work in our case because we have two different types. No, this doesn't work. This does not work. Okay. So what do we have in
underscore files? What do we have again? It's two things, right? No.
Yes. Actually, we have two problems because the first one we have file info.
Yeah.
And from that, no, actually, never mind. We do convert it to a string here. Yes.
Yeah.
And ACPattern training is suggesting to just do a select here as well. So what we want to do is to select from this tuple into just a file path. And that should solve the issue.
Okay.
So
select.
Oh no, not on the result of that one, but on the files. We want to map those files or project those files.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, since we want to do that on the files, and we are invoking an extension method on those files, they need to come before the select. Just as we did with the select here, we said, what do we want to project? And then the method.
Yep. But I can do it in the params. Yeah, that's all correct.
Yeah.
And then dot select. And then what do we want to select?
So first the name, because that's a lambda. A lambda is an anonymous function or an anonymous method. So we need to pass in a argument or a list of arguments. So they have this expected. Sounds great. Yeah.
Just expected.
Or expected file. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And then we map that to.
Oh.
Then after the arrow comes then the body of the function. So we now can select that property that we want to return from that tuple. It's actually a field. I think value tuples are fields, not properties. Never mind.
And that's the file path, right?
The path from that tuple, yes. But we first need to state the
files dot path.
Not
No.
So we now basically we write a selector function, and in this anonymous method, we now get in. Now this is invoked for each and every method. So we want to act on the thing that is an input to that anonymous method. We don't want to ignore that input. So we want to act. Basically, what we do here, we have an input to a method, the actual file, and then we use it here. So we want to use the expected file that is an input to our anonymous function here as well. We want to select the .text from the expected file. Because the expected file is the tuple, and from that tuple, we want to extract the file path.
Okay, so the expected file is the input to the function, but what's the function?
Well, that's anonymous. We are writing now after the error. We're now writing the body. So if you were to write this in full, this would be a it's a select. So it return type implicitly string. Now I call this anonymous because it doesn't really have a name. But if it weren't anonymous, then it had some name. The input is the tuple that we have here. So this will be string text and string file path. The name of that argument is, as you called it, expected file. And now we write the body of the method, which comes after the lambda, where we would return expected file dot file path. This is what we would write if we wrote it as a non-anonymous method. But here we are the lambda syntax. We can rewrite it like basically like this, yes. Because if it's a one-liner, then the return is implicit. We could also have the anonymous. We could also have a body for that anonymous method. I think there's a refactoring to that. Use block body. So we could also have this anonymous method as this lambda method also as a body, and then have multiple lines. But if we have that, then we need the explicit return. But if it's like just a one-liner, then the return is implicit. So it assumes that what we state here is returned. And also what we see when we explicitly declare this function, we get a warning, and it says the local function anonymous is declared but never used. Okay, yeah, of course we get that warning. What I was hoping is getting as a warning, because what we could do, we're not using any fields, any members in here, so we could make this method static, and we could do this. We could do the same for our anonymous method as well.
Okay.
By
yes. Wait, this one?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It's always so funny because I like see it here and then I have to find it on the other screen. That's quite funny. Because I always think I'm on the right path. Like, but this it happened before live where I saw the same like variable that I was trying to change, but I was in a different file or something. I was in a completely different place. That was very funny.
I guess that's confusing. Yeah, different. Yeah. and what we have now is basically, so this is the same as down here, because the lambda, the compiler infers a lot with the lambda. It infers the return type. It infers that the return type is the type used here. So the string is inferred. It infers the type here, because that's the type that those elements of this files collection are in, and it does the return automatically. So this is a really terse syntax for writing an anonymous selector function. And this is what I love in LINQ. And I wouldn't know how to write this via the actual LINQ syntax, where to write select and stuff. Yeah, I find using the methods and the extension methods more. I'm used to them. I'm bad with SQL languages. Cool. And I guess this should actually, okay, and now we need to check, is this empty? So basically, do we have anything in that result set or not? And there is also an extension method for that.
No way.
To check if there is anything.
To check if there's anything. Okay. Wait, I need to go here. Okay. Let's see. Any.
Yes.
Nice.
And .any returns true if. Okay, so we now chain several projections and selectors. So we first select, we project into the relative paths. then we do an exception on the result of only the file paths. And if this, whatever we get from the except, if it has any items, that means that it has at least one item, then it returns true, otherwise false. So if that except is empty, then the file system tree is equal. Then we want to return true. But if that result of except is not empty, we want to return false. So this is now basically, now we need to state the return from here. So we want to return the result of any. But which one is the right way? Do we negate it or not? That I need to think out now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Wait, I kind of do. I have two versions of this in my head. The first thing is that we need to return this. So I was just thinking, can I just write return?
Yes.
Nice. Done.
Now, do we need to negate that or not? Well, we could run the test and see, but I'm also trying to challenge my logic.
Should I indent this more, or is this okay?
No, this is fine.
Okay. And I think because we want it to be empty, so it should be negated.
If we want it to be empty, so it should be, yeah, that sounds logical. I can't argue that. So let's not negate it and expect our tests to fail. We could use a variable first, and then we would see, that I guess that the return is a Boolean, and we need to think about negating it or not, if I understand it correctly, eggplant in training. And our tests fail because, okay, yeah, it says that the hierarchy does not match, but it didn't produce any set difference. So I guess, yeah, what you suggested is confirmed now by our test to be true. So we need to negate that. Yes.
Okay.
I guess now I understand what eggplant was referring to. You're now wondering where you put that exclamation point? Yes.
Yes, you can read my face so well.
Oh, wow. So let's do that. Let's put that into a variable first, and then we will see. Yeah, I understand.
Wait. Okay. Return. So just like a v is that? No, var v.
Yeah. Well, we can't do that. Yes, that something like this. But have the v here if you. But then we can't.
We can't return.
So what we would do first put in a variable and then return v here.
Got it.
So this is
Got it.
And I guess now it's apparent where we would put that exclamation point.
Is it really?
So now from the return statement, where would you? Because now we have this is a Boolean. Basically, do we have any difference? No, hold on. When we return true, when we return any, then we have a difference. Yes. Do we have any differences in the trees? Okay. In order to return if the file system is equal, do we want to return? So yeah, where do we negate that? Never mind. I was answering the wrong question. Yeah. So where do we put the exclamation point?
Oh no. I know exclamation points in like if statements, like if exclamation point, no.
If this was an if statement, where would you put the exclamation point?
In front here, right?
So where would you put the exclamation point in the return statement?
Yeah.
Because there is actually there is no difference, because if you would negate something, like I have a Boolean, well, I have that Boolean up here. If I want to negate it, I have Boolean negated, and just use the one that I want to negate and put the exclamation point before. So all these three things are the very same thing. The syntax never changes. You put an exclamation point before a Boolean, it will be negated. And if that Boolean is within an if statement, because what we could do is write if true. Now this will always be executed. We could also write if exclamation point true. Now it's false, so this will now never be executed. So if you have a Boolean, exclamation point before, regardless of where it is.
Got it. Okay.
And I guess now is the question,
So-
do we want to have the explicit variable here, or do we want to do it in
Would
one
it just,
expression?
if it was one expression, would it be return this?
Yes, it would. Because highlighting that, I guess we can, because C# allows that, we can have returns, we can have enters anywhere. So we have, this is our expression that returns, we have an expression here that returns a Boolean, and anywhere we have a Boolean, exclamation point negated. Yes, indeed.
Yay!
Oops.
Then let's leave it like that. I like that. I get it now.
Formatting is cool. Okay. And now let's run the tests, and we should see them turn angry because Hulk. I tried to be funny. Green. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, that was not good. Yeah. Should be ashamed of myself, but I'm not. Cool.
No, I got
Tests
there
are
in the
green.
end. See? Great. Okay.
Well, this could fix our issues.
Has the Windows thing finished yet? Because we were still waiting on it before.
Well, I would hope so now. Oh, yes, it has. And it passes.
Great.
So it's
Perfect.
definitely some, we
Worth
have
the
differences
wait.
between Windows and Unix-based systems.
Love it. Okay.
This would be test. Fix. Those are integration tests. So we could say test in parentheses integration. So our integration tests fix expected file assertions on Unix. I guess this should describe our fix. And let's commit that and push that and see if the CI is happy with us.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we run into any more CSProj problems.
How confident
I'm surprised
are you?
that, excuse me?
How confident are you that this is all going to be green? On a scale of 1 to 10.
5.
5?
Because I'm kind of, because I'm kind of 50-50.
Okay.
Or is it on a scale from 1 to 10? That's actually 1, 2, no, that's 10 options. So 5 is in the middle. I'm 50-50 if we have some other, we could have some other Unix issues. And I guess now, because we do have an open task for that. We do have an open task for that to containerize our integration tests.
Nice.
And then it would be easy to run our integration tests locally as if they were running on Unix. And so we could emulate the problems that we're now having on CI locally already.
Mm.
And I guess we should have done that first. Well,
Well.
So once we implement this, we
What is that?
in the future can avoid Unix-based or
Is that tech debt
operating
again?
system.
No,
Is
it's
that
not,
tech
is
debt?
it? No, not.
I could, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
We didn't do it immediately, and are now paying the price for it. So I guess it is.
Nice.
And we are also getting spam. Cool. And it fails.
Woo! Great.
Okay. So can we fix this still in this episode? Or because we are again quite over time. But I called the episode release time. I don't want to lie. We have.
What is sort of like the estimated times for a stream? Because we say every time we're going over time.
Yeah. Well, I think I always put 2 hours. I think we should change it to 3 hours because that's what we're averaging on. And we have.
Is that our average? 3 hours? Really?
I think from the last 3 episodes, yeah. From all of the episodes, no. I think it's more like 2:30 or 2:50, 2:15. But the last 3 episodes, it's 3, yeah.
Fair enough.
And I get now we have the problem that I expected, that if we run the .NET Framework project on Unix-based systems,
Yeah.
it will not work. So I guess we could exclude that, because I actually expected that we need to exclude these. We expected this last time with Matthias' session already. But actually, okay, I think the problem again is order. Now, actually, it would work. Actually, it seems to work, but the problem is that the files are not in order. So we're expecting global usings, but compare it. So again, we have an order issue. I would now like to create a GitHub issue for that, and we will follow up on that tech debt. And for now, fix it by excluding that test on non-Windows devices.
Okay, fair enough. But it would not be just that one test, would it?
Yes, just that one test.
Really?
Because it's only that one test is failing.
For now.
Oh no, the other one is failing too. Damn it. Damn it.
I think it would be most tests, right?
Yes, that's actually really, no, that's a big problem. Okay. Take that. I still would like to release, so
maybe we can,
I guess we have to
let's release
tests.
and let's call the next episode Tech Debt.
There we go. Next episode is Tech Debt. And yes, and for now, it's actually, yeah, you're right. We need to ignore both tests. So what we're going to do is, I think in XUnit, those are traits. Let's bring up some Microsoft documentation.
I'm sorry, I still don't quite understand, because I think most of our tests, aren't they comparing like one expected thing to another? And it seems like the order is wrong. So
yes,
for me, it feels like all of them would fail.
Yeah, but
that have more than one file.
Well, yes. So we currently have two file-based tests.
Oh, do we?
Because
Is it just two?
Well, that also expect files, because our counter doesn't expect. We don't assert any files on disk with the counter, because that doesn't change anything on disk. Only the globalizer, and for the globalizer we have two tests.
Okay.
So those are exactly those. Sorry, those two tests from the globalizer. There's the K-style project and okay, we want to exclude that for now from Unix systems. So what we could do is, I think that's a trait, but I need to go to the documentation and see, because we can selectively run unit tests, and then we do .NET test via a filter, and there is a specific expression that we can set. And in XUnit, we could use the fully qualified name, a display name, or a trait. Well, we could exclude basically those names explicitly, but I want to do a trait, call this trait non-Windows. And then if it's non-Windows, then we exclude that. And there is an example of a trait. So we can add a trait. We can add like a name and a value. And then let's see how this is. How we do that. We then filter priority 1. So what does this mean? Let's come to that afterwards. So let's add a trait, and this trait receives two strings. It has a name and a value. So how should we call that trait, and what would be the value?
Rating system?
No. Yeah, yes, but I get maybe exclude OS, and then we say exclude. Oh no, we have it one way, so we only want to exclude Windows. Include. Maybe we say exclude. Maybe we say include. Exclude OS. Let's do the other way. Let's say include OS, and we say Windows only. So include OS, Windows. And the filter goes like, well, the example says priority is 1. If we set the priority to 1, then it either have containing tests and have with the key of category and value category or have a trait with a key priority of 1. Okay, because we have an OR here. So what we can now do is write a filter that says is excluding 1, but on Windows. No, maybe we do need the other thing. Okay, I can't make up my mind. Let's go to the build. Because, yeah, we need to do that. We need to set a filter. And the filter will say, okay, if the environment is Windows, then we want to basically put in this thing. So if the environment is, but the question is now, where do we put it? So would this work? Now we need the correct order on the character, correct logic. Would this be correct if we say include OS Windows? Because if we don't set a filter, everything is set. If we set a filter, then only those tests that match. So if we would have that, I guess this would not work as expected. Because actually we want the opposite. We want to exclude traits, actually. But how do we exclude traits?
Okay. No, I actually don't know.
Is it via the tilde? Category. We say category equals A. We just say does not equal. Would that work? So if we say, maybe we do say, basically not equals 2. Would this work? I think so.
Can we just have 2 traits, one for each operating system that we want to exclude?
I think we could also have 2 traits, yeah. And one, I think one needs to, but it needs to, yeah, we could do the other way around. We basically state the ones that we exclude. I'm not certain.
Okay.
If we could, trying to set, I hope this works with traits. So if this trait matches, it will be 1. And on Unix, I think we do it like so, exclude OS Windows. So if it is Windows, we run all of it. If it's not, so on Unix or let's say Ubuntu, we would say exclude OS is not Windows. But on this test, we have the trait exclude is Windows. So this one should not be executed, but the others should, I think.
Okay.
How can we confirm that? I guess by doing a .NET test.
Yep.
Or nuke test. If nuke test also shows the tests that are run. I hope. File. Store. Test. Error.
Cool. Yep.
Why does... Oh, that's not a Windows. No, hold on. What's the problem now? Invalid operation exception. Why do we... I think this is a problem on my machine. This is under .NET 6, I believe. I think this is a problem I have locally on my machine because we didn't get that error on the CI. I think this is the .NET 6 test that just failed on my system. Yes, but how many tests got executed? Can we see that? Is there something like a test plan that we can run? .NET, a dry one, .NET test. Maybe there is some property that we can set to see which tests would be executed. Collect results directory, no build. File, filter, environment, list tests. Ooh, cool. So let's go to the CD, go into the tests, go into the CLI tests, and do a .NET test -- list tests. And it shows that both are included. But what if we -- filter and pass in that very same filter? They are still included, so this doesn't work.
I mean, can we just comment them out?
Yes, but then they wouldn't run on Windows either. I guess perhaps this is the, you know what? This is the quick fix. We need to fix this anyway. Yeah, that's the way to go. I never used a filter actually. So let's do, we can fact, has, and ignore. We can set a skip. We can skip them.
Nice.
So we can say skip fix on non-Windows. And this will be our tech debt for the next episode that we call tech debt. This is unflattering, but okay, well. And we have skip. Do I have this copied? Yes. Okay. So we skip those tests on Windows, and now if we do a list of tests, they should be no longer there. They should no longer be there. And now they're gone.
Woo,
no, hold on.
They're still there.
Does list test not? Maybe list test does not respect that. Maybe it would. Let's obviously do something bad. Throw new exception.
Nice.
Do not reach this, please. And if we .NET test this, we should not. One test will fail because that's on my. Let's run only on net 7.0. Now they should pass. Yes.
Oof, nice.
But if we remove that skip and just do effect, now they should fail.
With the exception.
With this, yes. Yeah. Do not reach this, please. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yes. I like a suggestion because, well, it should be, that's something temporary, so this is the quickest thing and it works. I like it.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
So let's nuke it.
Oh, hey, nice. From orbit. How does this go? What's that? What category is that? Test, I guess. Skip tests that fail on non-Windows. And we will fix them in the next stream. And push. And I guess if that passes, we could merge and then it should run the CI and push our package and everything should be good. Theoretically.
Nice.
One step is missing. NuGet. Let's jump to the. Yeah, there is the parameter secret NuGet API key. I think we still need to set that. Because I haven't done this off stream just yet. I'll do so. While the build is running, let's go to our solution, to our build.cs, And just checking if it's also called, yeah, we call it NuGet API key, and this is the API key that we set here, and it's required, so we need that. And we want to do that via basically setting a secret for our repository. So while this build is running, we need to, I'm not sure if I want to show that. Secret
stuff happening.
Actions. I guess this is here. I'm actually not certain. GitHub set secret API key for workflow. GitHub action secrets. So we will. Oh, that's the API, is it not? Using secrets. We go to settings, we say secrets and variables, we add a new repository secret. Okay. So this is what I'll do off the screen, but let's go back to our pull request and see how it's doing. We have a green check mark already. I'm glad that, okay, we have a second green check mark. Okay, nice. Cool. I'm glad that Windows takes some time. So this buys me some time to set this repository secret. My secret name is actually, I guess I can show this. Yes. So we set the secret name to the API key that we have there. And now the actual secret I will not show. Going to NuGet, creating a new API key. And how do we call that? I guess we call that /over.tool. I guess this would be a good name. It will expire. I can set some expiration up to a year. Maybe I set it for, is 90 days? Do we still have 90 days in this year? Because I want to then change them at the end of the year. Is 90 days end of the year? Not quite, is it? I'll do 180 days. The owner of our package is the company, and we can say push new packages and package version. I think I can show this because I haven't created a secret just yet. So we can, this is now NuGet. We want to create that secret. Give it just a name. Expires in, owner. What can we do? We can push new packages and package versions. Yes, I guess later on we can do that because initially we also need to push a new package. Later on we could just set it to that. So I guess I'll let it expire soon and then change it to only have that scope, which then will be a new secret. And we select packages. Okay, to which this applies. And I guess we just say exactly that and nothing else. We don't need a glob pattern. Okay, and well, it doesn't have the thing yet. Okay, now I hit create, but I do this off stream because I'm not sure what is happening. An API key has been created, and we can copy that. And now we will enter this in the secret that I definitely don't show, just checking. And adding the secret. Okay, cool. And this could now theoretically work if the Windows build was done. That is really significantly slower than the others.
Okay. Do I have to approve anything? Because I saw yeah.
Indeed. So if you go to that pull request.
Yeah.
Is that the right? That's the right IFA, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So now you should see some notification.
Oh, should I?
I think usually in the top right. Okay, I have some unread notifications where you can.
Mm-hmm,
you should now see that you have been assigned to this pull request.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see.
28 file changes. Why do you have 28 file changes? Oh. 28 file changes. Let's see if there's anything that we have. Those auto change. We need these. We need these. To the config, build, configuration, props, targets, use purge, dot settings. Okay, we don't really need those dot settings. I would like to. So, but then we need to wait for the build again. Let's commit them. Doesn't matter. We have images for our tool. Dot name. What's that? Ooh, we shouldn't have committed these. Yeah, they should be gone. I guess
Okay.
we need another commit because
Okay, so
well, it passes,
I
but I
shouldn't
really want
approve.
to clean that up. Not yet, because
Yep.
I would reset these because I really don't want to commit this idea. So let's get rid of, because they are depending on the IDE. Where are these? Here. And we okay, and while at that, let's also get rid of this dot settings here of the. Is this in nuke? Is this in build? It's in build. This dot settings. We won't need that either. Let's check if everything else is okay. Solution. What is the VCX XML? Oh, so no, that's from. I think that can also go away. Oh, is it gone already? Tool. Dot idea. So that's in source. Oh no, that's removed already. Okay. Yes, we moved the entire directory. Yes, that's gone. Those are tool. We don't need that, but we need that. Yes, and those and parameters and build schema. Well, do we necessarily need the build schema? Because I think this is created anew anyway, and this will always change when we add something. So I think this is rather of an intermediate file. I think we can exclude that as well, because I think this will be regenerated anyway. The parameters are cool to keep, yes, but I don't think we need to build schema. Yeah, that's not really useful from somewhere outside the repository. And I guess then we also need to exclude that from the git ignore. So this is in .nuke. We already included the temp, yes, but we also want to exclude the build schema. So I'll copy this as a path, remove the build.schema. We only want to check in the parameters because they should be versioned, yes. This is generated by a tool, so this is regenerated. This is not really a source, it's an output, and we don't need to check in outputs because it's regenerated.
Yep.
And these are also generated, but we actually need them on the CI beforehand because this is how GitHub actions work. So these we can't really get rid of. Now let's jump to the git ignore file. Git ignore. And let's add that one as well. So just paste the copied path in here, but we basically start here in .nuke, change the backwards to forward slashes, and this should be it, I believe. Yes. Just checking how files, yeah, just having that should be cool. And let's push that. What did we do? We clean up.
Yeah.
What's that? What kind of conventional commit is that? Word style. That may be a chore because it doesn't really fit anything else.
Yeah. It's a chore. Feels like a chore.
Remove, delete. Let's say IDE files, because they are based on the JetBrains IDEs, and we also include the Visual Studio files. So I guess this was pushed by. They're not included by default. This was pushed by accident because I think we once pushed everything that we had to circumvent some problems, if I recall correctly. And cool, I guess after pushing, now it's review time.
Nice.
And then we merge, and then we see it happening, that it may appear or may not in our NuGet feed. If it doesn't, well, I guess it's also tag debt. Everything is tap debt for now.
Nice.
So
I'm working on it.
Yeah, well, you have some time because Windows build will need some time. Going through the changes one last time, but if I find anything, that this will definitely be tag debt. Or if we find anything, sorry. Approved, cool.
Woo!
Yes. Yes, cool. Okay, now let's wait for the Windows build to finish. And so what we then hope to happen is that on nuget.org, we will get our tool. It's not there yet, but it should then appear. Then we can install it and run it against our solution and see the changes. And that would be cool.
That would be awesome.
We can also filter by .NET tools because that's what it is.
How many NuGet packages have you published?
I think those are these. No. Dependencies mainly. Also template. Here they are. 13, if I counted correctly, but none of them with Nuke or very, very manually. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess they all need to go to Nuke now. Excuse me?
Do you use all of them regularly, or
no.
They're
like to now. Not really. Most of them.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Most of them are not really well. The generators one, okay, that needs upgrading, but that I haven't pushed a new version. But the generators, templates, and analyzers. So okay, those 3 projects I'm actively developing. I haven't pushed any new version for quite some time. I should. The others are not really. I don't develop any further anymore, really.
And is that 42,000 downloads?
Overall the packages, yes.
Wow.
And
that's pretty cool.
Actually, what I'm trying, since it turned out that those 3 projects I still maintain and I really like, I would also like to move them to our organization and make that part of our thing. And maybe we stream about these, especially about generators and analyzers, because they're also Waslin. I guess we can come in. We will see them in a future episode. And then you will also be a owner of that package, and then you will also get some downloads.
Nice.
So
Woo.
everything is green. We can now squash and merge. And okay, now it's always cool. It doesn't like, that's interesting. It uses it here correctly, but doesn't do it here correctly. So I moved it down the co-authored node. Okay. I usually like to keep stuff that is, because we squash the commit, which means that we basically lose all the individual commits, but only have one commit. If we still want to take a look at the individual commits, we can always go back to the pull request, because the pull request isn't deleted, just a branch, but that can be restored, so we won't lose any information. But in this squashed commit, I want to keep the information only like what has really changed and not some intermediate changes. So, well, we skipped these. Those are not intermediate. We fixed that. This is intermediate. This is actually a breaking change even. For example, like this, fixing this for white permissions, but those files have been in the squashed commit, they just appear, so they are new. Therefore, this is in a squash commit, not information, not helpful information. And I guess those would be the helpful commits to keep. Maybe we do the star as well. Okay. And then do the co-authored note at the end. So we actually added some NuGet properties. We had a new feature. We changed the project path from argument. This is a breaking change, so we'll add an exclamation point to here. We fixed expectation files on Unix. Yeah, well, partially. I will remove that because we haven't really, not fully. So I'll put myself this in my notes so that I don't forget to open the issue. And then this will be tech tapped for our next stream.
Nice.
And we skip tests that fail on non-Windows. And we confirm squash and merge. Now comes the interesting part. We don't need the branch anymore. We can delete it. If the action is taking action, and it is. So now that we have pushed to main, the other, so what we did, this was previously was the CI action. So if I filter by CI action, that is actually also running because we're also running the CI action. Okay, I guess that's fine. But the publish isn't. Oh, yes, because my bad. Yeah, that's still CI. But what we set in our build is that we want to publish, we don't want to publish every merge, but when we push to our publish branch. And this is now what we are going to do.
Okay.
So I will locally delete the nuke branch because that doesn't exist anymore. This execution plan reappears because the git ignore is not updated on main yet. So I'll pull the latest changes that we basically just merged in my local main branch here. Now we switch to the publish branch. And we want to update that branch from main. Now we have all the change. Those are we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pull requests since we started this branch. And we will push them to the origin. Now we pushed to the publish branch, the latest changes, and this now should trigger the publish CI, and it did.
Yes.
And now comes the interesting part. Does this work? It may.
How confident are you from?
Ooh, I was.
Scale 1
to 10. I had the feeling you're gonna ask me.
Yeah. So your time to prepare an answer, an educated answer.
Well, since we are now building only on Ubuntu and not on Windows, I don't have infinite amount of time. 80 plus 85 on a scale from 1 to 8. 1 to 9. No, 10. Scale from 1 to 10, 8.
Okay. That's pretty confident. I like that. It's good odds.
Successfully created a package. Okay. We haven't added a README file to our package. So we have an info here that will also tech deptify on the next session. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
An API key must be provided. I thought we did. Okay, then this is not really working, and I don't not really know why. No API key was provided, and no API key could be found. To save an API key, because I guess I made a mistake there with the, well, it set the secret in our repository, and also we set that in we set it to imported secret. I'm fairly certain I copied that name so that I don't have any copy paste errors, but it's still not working with that API key. Okay, well, what we could do to still get it working is not have it automatically, but we could manually upload the package to NuGet. We could do that. So this is not the best thing to do, but I still want to publish it. So let's go to the root. Nuke, what was the pack, right? And this should create ourselves a, let's also clean. Let's be sure. Let's clean everything. Nuke clean. Nuke pack. All the artifacts are deleted.
Okay. Yes.
And pack has successfully created the package. We can actually take a look at that NuGet package. This is what we did 16 episodes ago. How does this look like? So we have here our package.
16 episodes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our pre-release 0 NuGet package. And 0 good, yeah, doesn't matter. And here it is. It's in the tools. So in our tools directory, so that we know that's a .NET tool. We have then our tool DLL, which does all the good things. And we publish it for .NET 6 and .NET 7. We also have an icon. We still need Mr. README, but we will deal with that later. And now we go to NuGet. I will do this off stream though, because I'm not sure if there's anything I could leak. And you can manually upload packages. This is definitely not the best thing to do, but it should help us out for now, where we now select that very package. It's uploading it.
And so you've done it manually 13 times. Yeah.
No. Some of them are automated, but manually not. We are like handcrafted the YAML files, and it says only PNG or JPEG images are supported. We have some OI. I'm not sure if we can fix that quickly. Well, we could get rid of the image for now. Let's get rid of the image for now. Let's go to our tool. I just remove the image. It's a PNG, right? There is some problem there. Icon. This could actually work if that is passing, then this could work. Oh no, it doesn't. Because we could also specify an URL to an image. I guess this could be not the first workaround. Later on, we want to package the image in the package. But first, let's do the resources. Let's use the preview image. Yes. So that's binary, right? So that should be. Maybe there's a problem with that image. Okay, that really does not look right, does it? Because the other one can be displayed. Maybe there's a problem with that image. Let's use that one. How can we get that? Download raw file. I want to get the raw file to that path. How does this work? Copy path. Just do it like this. If I do here, what do I try to achieve?
Not sure.
I guess does this image now exist? Not found. Okay. There's something wrong with that path. Because what you can do is, if it's at the file, we can take a look at the raw, and this is like this path. So I want to basically get the link to the image as a raw path. And that image is in resources. And there it is. So we want to do show main resources /png. Okay, now it worked. Okay, so
Yes.
that path.
Nice.
We'll use that path here in the package icon URL. We don't package it. It's not ideal, but okay. Pre-release 0. That's allowed to have some errors. Some tech debt accumulated. I hope we're now almost there. Let's do a nuke clean and another publish pack, and then it should be good. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. And knock on wood. Okay, it's deleted. And we pack. And successfully created package at this path. I will copy that path and we'll try to upload that manually. Open. It's uploading.
Nice. Or is that how far we got before as well?
This is how far we got last time as well, yes.
Okay.
And it now validation has pathed. We found some issues. Yeah, we do have some problems because we're not using best practices. We accumulated some tech debt. We will fix this in the upcoming episode. And this will be package tool. The version, we have the owner set. I want to set the owner. Still need to set the owner. Okay. Some more tech debt. And license and pre-release and the project URL and some more content and some icon and some mid. Okay. And now
Oh.
Well, it may not be findable yet because it's not indexed, but we should be able to download it. So if we were to go ahead and say, let's go to a project that we want to manipulate. Let's go to source. Which project do we want to test? Like our production code project?
Mm-hmm.
Let's try the core. Okay, so we have here this project, we want to manipulate that. So let's get .NET tool install /over.tool. Yes, but let's do it globally, not locally. No package exists with this ID. Because it's a pre-release, and pre-release are not used per default, I think. Pre-release, determine whether to include pre-release packages.
Yes.
So we want to do that.
Good thinking.
Unable to find package /over.tool. No package exists with this ID. And also on NuGet.org.
Okay, but we get the ID when we upload it, right? Or how do we get?
Maybe it's not a tool. Maybe we did a mistake there. It doesn't seem to be a tool. Because what we don't see, what I would expect to see is, I messed up something really bad. Let's take a look at nuke.global tool. When you click that, it says this package contains a .NET tool you can call from the shell and command line. But ours does not say that. So although we did set the package tool property here.
I wish I could help, but I have zero experience with this.
Yeah, but this may be just more tech debt.
Nice.
So
I like
I'm afraid
it's the word of the show.
I'm afraid we failed to release.
Did we?
Well, okay, we released it, but it's not working. So yeah, okay, you know what? Yeah, we succeeded.
It's released with tech
It's released
debt.
indeed. It's
Nice.
released indeed. Yes. Yeah. Oh, now it says this package contains .NET tool. Oh, maybe it just took some time to index that and
That
such.
would be hilarious.
And
Oh.
but maybe this works like, I don't know, in an hour or something. You are attempting to install a preview release and did not use --. Let's specify the version. So last try, let's use exactly that command, which also specifies the version. And if that doesn't work, then we try again later. It worked. Okay. So that now means if we check, is that list? We list our global tools. We have nuke, PowerShell, and our tool, and the /over command. So what we should be able to say /over -- help. And there we go. Yes. Here's our tool now installed via NuGet. So the same thing that we do locally a lot. Now we can say -a for some about, to code or not to code, -i for some info. We're using a .NET 7 SDK. Cool. What does this dash version do? It says 1.0.0. Okay, I'm not sure where this is taking that from. This is also a problem, more tech debt.
Nice.
And we can go to the using help, where we have our count and globalize. And now we see we only have the using here. We no longer have the options.
Nice.
And we now say count help. And we can say count and should. Oi! Please pass a specific project path. Yeah,
Woo!
of course we didn't do that. We have, yes, totally forgot. -p. I think just a CS proj, because we are already in that working directory, passing it. And
yes,
we get DNB Sage says, "Hey man, this stream is so awesome. Thank you very much."
Thank you. Thanks for joining. This is perfect.
And also, how do you draw arrows on the stream? This is so cool. We use Zoom It. The tool is called Zoom It, and it's part of the Windows sys internals suite. If you will find that. If you just Google Zoom It, you will find it, or Windows sys internals, it's part of that. And our tool works. It's fantastic.
Yes.
And now let's globalize some stuff. What do we want to globalize? Which one of these usings that we found?
Well, the one with the 7. So that's code analysis.
Microsoft.code. Oops. You're very welcome. Microsoft.code analysis. Okay, indeed, those 7 occurrences seem to have been replaced. If we take a look at our div, we see that it was replaced, it was removed, it was removed, was removed.
And
we got a new global usings file where it was added and removed. And in the CS proj, we have, those are the changes that we changed manually. Yeah, this shouldn't have changed. So
yes,
we didn't lie. We released, and it works.
We released it.
Released with tech debt.
Yeah, tech debt, that's future us's problem.
Ooh, that's a really good segue, isn't it?
Yeah, because when is future us having, to deal with all the tech debt that we accumulated throughout this episode?
Yes. Future us, this will be in 3 weeks on Wednesday the 4th of October. We start at the same time. And I guess we'll schedule maybe longer, because we always take a bit longer. And or maybe we start a little bit later, and then no, this doesn't work like that, does it?
I see.
And yeah, we will have more fine-tuning to do, and basically all the tech debt that we talked about today will be what do you do with tech debt? We solve it.
Exterminate.
This would be the title. Exterminate tech debt. No, we said we just call it tech debt.
Tech debt.
But we will start with exterminate the tech debt. Okay. Well, a couple of notes here. These are all the notes that we have some tech debt.
Yep, totally. So this is 3 weeks. As always, if you're sort of like interested in learning something new or looking at some other creators, in the meantime, we have, as always, some suggestions for you for meetups. Let's see what we've selected. Because I don't know it by heart.
Me too.
Event-driven architecture with Dennis van der Stelt, who's a very famous event-driven architect, right?
I'm not certain.
No, I'm neither. But yeah, this
I
is
need to
yeah.
put in the links in the chat.
I love that they
And
have a virtual bar. It's funny. Yeah.
then we have gRPC
gRPC.
with Quake Burnson. This will be hosted by the Greater Lensing user group for .NET.
Yeah.
Also
Which is in
online.
the States, right? So
I believe so, yes.
yeah.
The previous one that was from .NET Chef, that's in Sheffield in the UK.
Yeah.
And we also have, excuse me?
Sorry. No, it's just because of the time zones. So sometimes, because it's a virtual event, so you can obviously join
right.
from wherever you are in the world, but just, make sure, like for me, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to attend like meetups that are hosted by the States because it's in the middle of the day or something like that. But yeah, and this one is, I'm super excited about. I'm definitely going to attend in some form. Hopefully, I mean, is this, it's just online, isn't it?
No, it's not just online. I'm linking it to the online version. So we'll talk about how to integrate your LLM, large language models, into your application. And there will be a C# example. So this is the meetup that I co-organize. But we also have an in-person. I guess that's the whole thing we are looking forward to this quite now after the summer break. The link is here for the in-person. Should you be in Austria or close to Vienna, then you can also join in person. There will be talks, food, drinks, conversations, all the good stuff. But I'll link the remote version because that stream is remote. But we have here the RSVP for the in-person one as well. We have always been hybrid.
Yeah, and they're always really, really fun. So totally recommend it if you're able to join. Go ahead. Yeah. Also, if you're interested in reaching out to us and connecting, or if you just want to keep, staying updated with our content, also give us a follow on LinkedIn. This is also where we post, our upcoming streams or any news or anything that jumps into our minds, really. And it's a great way to, connect and communicate with you guys, because you are such a great help in every single stream, like literally, especially special thanks to our regulars who help us out every single time. We wouldn't have, maybe we should also add you as co-authors, because we wouldn't have been able to make this tool without you, at least not in this amount of time. So thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who took the time to spend the evening with us. It's honestly such a pleasure. It honestly makes my day. So thank you so much. And thank you, Stefan, for all the lovely little tips and tricks and learnings of the day. And as always, for just building the tool with me and hanging out. I really appreciate it.
This, of course, goes both ways. There is quite a list that both of us need to follow up.
Yeah, tag that. Nice.
Tag that. Wonderful. Then Eva, I see you in 3 weeks. And maybe even some or most of the audience as well in 3 weeks. And I guess with that, we'll be back. Thank you very much for watching.